Here, let's see what
shot
this
and
is.
killed while trying to rob some. Good evening to you. I'm Tom Ziska. We're glad to have you with us. We begin with a man who was shot and killed while trying to rob someone at a gas station in Northwest Houston.
Bro, this building right here in downtown Houston, favorite building. All right. It's like one building, and then they took that same building and put it in front and just made it a little bit shorter, and then they did the same thing here. It's just this little three-tiered building, and I love it. Getting VODs, I'm not sure if it's something, record this locally and put it on a drive. Yeah, I will start a recording right now. Start recording. All right, we're 12 minutes into the VOD. I'm going to try to avoid cursing for 3 more minutes. Evidently, that's a new thing. You cannot say a bad word in the first 15 minutes of stream or the first 15 seconds of a pre-recorded video. So, going to try not to curse.
Fox 26's Jade Fleury is live in the newsroom tonight with details. Jade, what do you know?
Tom, officers say the robber walked up to a man while he was pumping gas, pistol whipped him, took his wallet, and then ran away. That's when a bystander who witnessed the whole thing pulled out a gun and shot the suspected robber. Surveillance video shows the moment a robbery suspect approaches a man and assaults him, demanding his belongings. A bystander who saw the assault unfold shot the robber multiple times before taking off. The suspect was pronounced dead at the hospital.
I was just outside in front of my apartments, outside smoking a cigarette, and I heard like 2 gunshots go off.
Some people in the area say the bystander had a valid reason to shoot the person accused of robbery. Some people in the area say the bystander had a valid reason to shoot the person accused of robbery, calling him a good Samaritan. Do you think this guy was justified in shooting the robber?
Yeah, I think he was justified. I would justify him. We need more people like that out here, more people to protect us out here like that.
Hell yeah, it's justified because he trying to protect the society. He helping people. He ain't do nothing wrong.
While others believe the shooting should have never happened.
I can't judge that man. Was he wrong? Probably, most likely, he absolutely was.
There are even conflicting views on whether the shooter should have remained at the scene.
Yeah, you should have remained at the scene.
He took off after he shot him. I didn't want him to get in no trouble. He's just trying to protect the citizen.
Police say the man that shot the robbery suspect is wanted for questioning. So far, no arrests have been made. Reporting from the newsroom.
You gotta stick around after you shoot someone if you think it's a justified shooting. Even if you don't want to say anything to the cops, just stick around and call a lawyer. I can't judge him, but the judge can. I don't even know if... I wonder, actually, what the legal aspect of that would be, because I would assume it was a good shooting. If any shooting can be good, you know, but... Abaddon 6666, how's it going? All right, I appreciate it. I don't even know what I said. But thank you. And thank Tron for being the editor and putting my stuff up, because I would never have time to ever do that shit. Abaddon, you are a big tomfoolery viewer, right? Like, I'm pretty sure you're like big in his community, or at least in his chat, right? You should join us at Rezzies for game night. I don't have enough time to stream. I'm not going to be able to like join for a random Discord chill sesh. I've been defending him hardcore too. I guess I just wanted to see what part of it is the defensible part, right? Because there's like 3 things. This is something that I'm starting to realize as I am, you know, starting to near the end of having to do school, as I am starting to do more IRL stuff, right? I look at these streamer dramas and I see like such obvious ways of resolving these issues, and I have no clue. There are 2 parts, the part before he doubled down and the part after. Well, which part was the double down? I would say that there is a fundamental misunderstanding on his part of why people are angry, right? Like, her calling a sex pest for months. Yes, I understand that, and I can understand that that's big. That's annoying, right? But like, I considered messaging him and like talking to him about this, but I don't want to be the person that, you know, helps him dig another like 10 feet of his grave, you know? Like, so what's okay, we have like, let's have a couple of shapes here, right? We have a circle, we have a square, we have a triangle. We'll just use these as markers for the different points of contention, I guess, right? We'll do an octagon, and we'll just kind of use them in different ways, all right? And we'll see if I can explain why I'm just so, like, confused by his response, right? So let's say that the circle here is the past, right? The past calling Tom a sex pest, right? Then, and that's just like something that irritates Tom, right? Next, we have the next incident. Oh, well, let's make it a little smaller. All right, we have the next incident, which is Tom bringing up Kelly's pictures, and we'll call this Tom Kelly pictures, right? Then we have the argument that he has. I to be fair, I asked for the actual link to the VOD of Tom arguing with Kelly initially, arguing with Kelly and JSTLK on the stream where he was in the chat and saying some stupid shit. I'm in your waiting room. Oh, I didn't know that you ever did voice. Where is Discord open on my computer? There. Yo, you are in the Discord room. You do know they aren't rejecting the bill, they just want major changes. I'm just going off of the headlines and we were going to go over it. It's a clickbait title, Mind of Z. Stick around. Right after we're done with this, we'll talk about the immigration stuff. All right.
Yeah, can you hear me? Am I double echo or anything like that?
Nope, you're all good.
Cool. All right, so the part where he doubled down is where you're talking about, where he was in the chat making those ridiculous comments. But here's the thing.
Comments, okay. It wasn't just
they were so ridiculous that everybody, I mean, anybody who knows Tom knows he wasn't gonna follow through with them, and knows that he was just being, what's the word I'm looking for, ostentatious.
Sure. What I'm saying, the reason I'm saying is because it just makes him look bad, right? Were they funny? Yeah, they could be, right? But it is like, it's just gonna make him look bad, right?
The thing is, though, he's been being called a sex pest with no proof for months, bro. JSTLK, it's not like he just did it once. Like, he's making content out of Tom over and over without proof again. And in Tom's eyes, the word sex pest, like in maybe your eyes and my eyes, it's not that big of a deal. But in Tom's eyes, it is. He's putting it akin to like pedophile, like somebody calling him that without any proof. And I mean, okay. I can see it from his side, but up to the point where he started making those comments, I think Tom was completely justified up until that point. And then, yeah, he shouldn't have made those comments, but I can also see why he did. He was trying to push their buttons like they were pushing his.
Okay, we don't like super disagree then. All right, cool. This is where I was going with things, right? So like if you look at stream, I have the little flow chart, right, of the order of events, right? So we have the first inciting incident, right? Where he's calling him a sex pest, right? Then we have Tom showing Kelly's pictures, and then the third will make the not octagon. What's the one with 6 sides?
Hexagon.
Thank you. Holy shit. We'll make the hexagon comments. Well, we'll just make it one big C. All right. We have the dumbass comments, and then we'll make the triangle
like conflict resolution afterwards, or
no, I would say the arguing, right?
With like Zonia, or you mean the arguing
With
with
everyone.
Okay.
This is just the him going around and debating people about this shit, right?
Okay.
So I think that Tom skipped over, right, during the arguments. They're all saying, right, oh, look at these comments that you're making. We think that this is up. We don't think that you bring up the Kelly pictures was that bad, or even like bad at all. But like then you have the comments, and then you have all this arguing afterwards and the doubling down, right? And that's what everyone's point is, right? But it seems what Tom is doing is he's saying that you can't have an issue with the comments unless you have an issue with me pulling up the pictures, because the pictures are the inciting incident that led to the comments, right? And so I think that in the second best case scenario for Tom, he makes the comments and you just cut out the A, right? You cut out the triangle, right? And as soon as you cut out that triangle, yeah, it's everyone forgets about this in like a week and a half, right?
Yep.
But I think that if you're looking at stream here, he could have cut it off right here, right? Right after Tom shows the Kelly pictures and they're all making fun of him on stream, right? He could have cut it off there, and it wouldn't have hurt him or helped him, right? I don't think that there was a way that he could have like come out of this on top. I think he could have only come out of this in a neutral place, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, like, hindsight is 20/20. Like, there's no way in the heat of the moment that he was gonna see either of these as possible paths.
I think, yeah, he should have been able to, because he's been in this space for so long. Okay, he's been in this space longer than I have, right? And I think that the comments that he made, right, were him trying to Giga Chad through it. But it was like the right way to Giga Chad through it is not say Kelly just wants my dick or whatever the he said, right? Or like, I love objectifying women, right? Which can be funny jokes. I'm not gonna lie. I say shit like that all the time, right? But like, the real way to Giga Chat it, right, when they're all sitting there making fun of his pictures, is to either just like not respond whatsoever, right? Or to just be like, LOL, yeah, I did show her pictures. So what?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. And they're both to blame, because everyone keeps like just piling up on Tom. And I'll explain exactly what I mean. When Kelly did this to Anya, I don't know if you saw that stream where Kelly and JSTLK,
trust me, I'm not going to sit here and defend Kelly at all. Okay,
and I'm not saying that you need to, but you'll see the mirror equal on both sides. Kelly tried to play it off like Anya was going to be weaker than her, and she couldn't take the razzing from the DDG, blah blah. Like Kelly tried to make herself be like, oh, I'm that girl that can hang with the guys. I can tussle with them. I can take I can take the punches and blah blah blah. So now that Tom did this, Kelly kept trying to say like, it's just weird. It's just weird. That's her trying to play it off like it doesn't really bother her, but at the same time she wants to hold on to the grievance because it gives her the limelight. It gives her the spotlight of attention. At the same time, Tom does the same thing. Because when JSTLK first came out with the sex pest things, Tom told me and told us on, oh, it doesn't really bother me. Like, he could say whatever he wants, but I know it bothered him. Now we see that it bothered him. So if they both would have just been real with themselves and just like, if Kelly said either, yes, it does bother me, or it really doesn't bother me, and Tom was, honest about if bothering him, we wouldn't be in this mess. They both would have been able to square it out way before this should happen.
Right,
but they're both trying to be the cool guy that can hang with the crowd and blah blah. And
yeah, I mean, like, I understand that, but this is what I was like thinking about, like talking to Tom about. Like, you can't control other people's actions, but you can control your actions. You can't control other people's responses to something that you do, but you can control your responses to things that they do, right? And I think that for people who have been in this space especially, right, we've seen enough people have their downfall doubling down and defending shit that is just so on its face absurd, right, that like there was no reason to die on the hill, right? Like nobody would have literally cared about any part of this. The only person that cared is the person who is like torpedoing themselves.
That's what I'm saying though. Is like he must have been, because we both know Tom. We know he's not a idiot. The only explanation I can see is that he was seeing red. He was like a bull seeing red, but he was fed the up and just didn't see what he was doing. I can't explain it another way, dude. He had to been that enraged, and he wouldn't. And the thing is, he doesn't let it show because he keeps it bottled up, and that makes it worse. That's the only explanation.
I don't know. I bottle up a lot of weird, stupid, shitty like attacks on me all the time. JSTLK's server, there's one person who like there's probably 5 debates. I'm just like making up a number, right? I actually think it might be less, where I just think objectively I did bad. I f***ed up. I shouldn't have had this debate. I was not prepared for it, right? And one of them was with this, I don't even know what the f*** he is, but his name is Sultan, and he's like a adjacent to infrared person, and he was just a troll, right? But I looked really bad in that debate, even though he was just a fucking troll. And you know what I do when this one person in JStalk's Discord brings it up? I just don't respond to them because
that's you and me, dude. We have that skill set.
But Tom, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. How fucking old are you?
He acts like he doesn't have that skill. He just doesn't.
Wait, how old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm 43. I'm about to be 44.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that? I'm an elder king.
I had no. That shit actually took me. That took me by surprise. I thought you were gonna say like in your like early 30s. Okay, so like I'm 28. You're 44. Tom is probably in his.
I think he's 30 something.
Yeah, I was gonna say like early mid 30s, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think I'm a hyper mature person, right? I'm mature enough.
But let me explain to you where Tom came from. He was in a religious household. Like he didn't even
My
believe
father
in
was a
evolution until like 10 years
pastor.
ago. So's his, but maybe you broke free from it, or you had a less.
Maybe it was less stringent, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like less restrictive than he did, because he just left Christianity this last year. So.
But what does that have to do with it?
It's not really an excuse, but just to put it into context, like, so like 3 years ago, Tom was still arguing for, like against evolution and for creationism and shit like that. Like, imagine going that far into your life. Like he was 30 and he was still believing in creationism and that evolution was a hoax. And I wouldn't put it past him if he thought the Earth was flat.
Like, I don't know. I would be open to talk to him about this. Like, I don't, because it sounds like you have like a reasonable.
There's not enough people having like actual open conversation with him. They're just people judging him. So if you wanted to like talk to him and just find out where his mindset was, or because literally even the people that were supposed to be his friends, all they're doing is just casting, because it's an easy pot shot right now. And
I don't think that Zonia was doing that, right? I felt like
yes and no. Look, I love Zonia, but she covered what he did before talking to him personally. That doesn't seem like something a friend does.
Well, I didn't see that part of the VOD. All I saw was the conversation because I was
her and Rezi and him.
Yeah, and
well, the night before, her and Rezi had covered the shit that Tom did. Like they did their own little like video stream on it, and I'm like, maybe you should have approached him. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but if it's a friend of mine, I'm gonna have a conversation with him first. Before I make content out of it.
I think that that's like a what's the word I'm looking for? A call, like a game time decision, just depending on like it's very contextual, depending on what is and what isn't.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be
because I mean I wouldn't say I'm like friends with Tom. I don't really know the guy that well, right? But I'm friendly with him, right? I've never had any beef with him.
And
right?
I'm not saying that you should, but Zonia claims that she's such a strong friend of him. Like her
but it
and
felt
maybe
like the things that she was saying were the kinds of things that I would be asking him, why didn't you do this, right? She was telling him,
Yeah, no, I'm not saying she was wrong on what she was saying. I'm saying she was wrong to make content of it before talking to him.
Okay, but what? Yeah. So the reason I bring up like the Zonia conversation is I feel like if I had a conversation, like I'm not gonna like sit there and just passively like say like I understand where you're coming from, because like I probably do understand where he's coming from. Like at a certain point you get in so deep into these arguments and you're like, all right, it's fight or flight mode, right? And yeah, I mean, by the time that he talked to Zonia, it was just fight. There is no flight at that point.
Yeah.
You can't back down at that point.
Yeah.
But like, I don't feel like Tom wants, or he didn't want to at that point, and I don't know if he at this point wants to hear, hey, why did you do it this way? Why
But
didn't
there's no
you
way
do
to find
this?
out unless you grill him again. And look, time has passed. A couple days have passed. He might be more receptive to it. You might come at it a different angle. Your delivery might be different. There's so many different variables that might affect how he responds or how he accepts it or takes things, right?
Yeah. Well, do you know if he usually streams on Tuesday, or what day is it today?
Normally it's just he's just random. I did tell him to lay low for a day or two, and then after the Vaush thing came out, I was like, look, if you just like chill for a little bit, it's gonna be forgotten. Eventually, people will get over it, and if people like Vaush keep making mistakes like this, it'll be faster. and
Oh, are you talking about the? Yeah, I need to look at that. I need to understand what the happened, because I saw some grainy images on Twitter while I was at work today, and that was
yeah, no, I was passing it around because I got it like really, really early, and I was passing it around to everybody.
That's funny as. All right, buddy. Well, if I see Tom go live today, then I'll shoot him a message. I don't want to. I don't want to like sit here and just like, curb stomp. The guy that's already biting the curb.
I hear you, and I'm not telling you to take it easy on him. I'm not telling you
of
do
course.
you. I'm just tired of everybody who's like completely one-siding the thing without like at all trying to put themselves in his shoes. That's all I'm asking.
Oh no, here's like the real take. Jay Stalk and Kelly and them were mogging him for being a coon-brained, whatever for bringing up people's pictures on stream, right? Like I saw the clips of those, right? And I'm sorry, it's a little funny. It's a little bit funny, right? And he could have run with that and gotten away with it. He could have just been like, yeah, I'm a big coomer. I like to coom while I'm on stream. You don't see where both my hands are while I'm scrolling through those pictures, all right? He could have done that shit, but he didn't. Instead, he's like, give me a normative reason. Give me a normative reason why what I did was wrong. It's like bringing normativity into this is the least normal thing that you can do, right?
If you do get your hands on the J-Stock video, or the one where he's trying to argue with, you'll also notice one last thing that I'll mention here.
Yeah.
Tom comes on to defend himself mostly against J-Stock for the sex pest bullshit.
Yeah, he did say that. I wanted to see that.
Kelly's stance is like, it's just weird. I didn't say anything else. It's just weird. It makes me feel weird. So she's like downplaying it, and then when Tom goes to like attack J-Stock for whatever Kelly will focus back on her. She'll like pull him back in, and I'm like, dude, let him argue with J-Stock, who that's who he actually has the beef with, but she keeps bringing it back to her, even though she's quote unquote just weirded out. And I'm like, this girl wants to like have it both ways. It's not cool. They don't let him.
Yeah, listen, I can't stand Kelly. All right, I don't think that she like. I don't know if she did anything like horrible in this, because I didn't get to see that first conversation.
She really didn't, except for not letting him defend himself to J-Stock, honestly.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I can't stand the like passive, like little snide comments, and then when someone's like, "Hey, why'd you say this?" and it's a summary of what she said. If it's not literally word for word quote, she's like, "I didn't say that." That shit bugs the shit out of me.
Dude, Destiny has her nailed to rights with that shit. He can just pick it out at any.
Yeah, when he was going in on her, I was like, this is a perfect way to like summarize why I hate people like Lav, why I hate people like Kelly, right? It's just so irritating when everybody knows exactly what you're saying, but you're pretending like you didn't say it. Anyways, All right. Well, if I see Tom go live, I'll shoot him a message, and we'll go over it more then. But if he doesn't, then we'll chill on it. We'll let it ice for a while.
Cool. Let me know if you need any details on the Vaush thing, but
yeah, I mean, like, if you want to send me something to go over, feel free, man.
I just have the screenshots that you already saw, unless you didn't get a good view of them.
I mean, like, I didn't have a chance to like actually look at them. So yes, shoot me those.
Post them in your Discord or send them to you directly, or what?
Yeah, send it to me directly because I don't know how lewd they actually are.
I'll send it right now. Cool. I'm jumping off.
All right, catch you later, buddy.
Yep.
All right, there we go. Kick that out of the room. All right, let's pause this. How's it going, Ridley? J-Stock is a drama farming troll and also a Destiny anti-fan. Don't give him the time of day. I've been watching his streams just because that's where everyone's like getting the content right now. Holy shit. Where's my cup of water? So I've been watching his streams and they are just like pure drama, stupid shit. But yeah, I think it's fine. He's not as deranged as, you know, other people who are anti-Destiny fans or drama trolls or anything like that. I think he strikes probably the cleanest balance of the drama farmers, you know? Let's see here. Oh, let me see what Tron was saying here. I had a friend who had spent 8 years in jail for homicide. He was walking home late one night and a homeless person attacked him and he punched the homeless dude and then walked home. The next day he sees the homeless dude is dead, so he goes to the police to say, yeah, I was the only, I only punched him, and because he didn't make every single effort possible to run away from the homeless dude, he was reckless homicide. That's gay as. I'm pretty sure Tom is a little. On this one, he's a little because of his reaction to everything. Again, like I don't have anything against Tom. I think that like I enjoy engaging in spicy chat and in J-Stock's Discord as much as the next person, right? I like shitting on people as much as the next person does, right? But I can tell when people are like, especially going in on specific people all the time, right? Like spicy chat goes in on Tom all the time. Spicy chat goes in on a lot of people all the time. But you know, like you just have to roll with it and deal with it. And as long as you're not with them back or, you know, giving them reasons to hate you more, they'll probably just like laugh at you and then move on, right? Yeah, they go on Stardust and stuff, right? Also, okay, I don't know what Stardust's whole involvement in the Tom stuff was. That shit was when she was in the call with Zonia and Tom, and she just kept on trying to like jump in with some like dumb little memes. Not the time or place, Star. All right, love you to death, Star. But holy shit, you need to know the time and place to talk about your dad's dick. Okay, like Jesus. All right. Easier after a while, but some people take it different. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure the first couple of times that they started ragging on me in Spicy Chat, I was pretty upset about it. But, like, just, I don't know, just learn not to care, you know? In the middle of the melee was comedy. It's comedy. I don't know if it's laughing at the comedy of it or laughing at the fact that she's trying to insert herself into the conversation by screaming "Coom time." It was funny. I don't think it was funny for the reasons that she thought it was. But again, like I don't have like much hate in my heart for all these people. But also, like I think that it might be possible that I'm aging out of the drama stuff that goes on, right? The drama stuff that goes on. When I see this drama happening, it's just mind-boggling to me because I look at it happening and it's either really boring, stupid, nothing drama that nothing needs to, it didn't need to be talked about in the first place, and everyone's reaction to it is so over the top that it's like, I don't know why any of you guys care. Is the content so bad, or is this just the way that it always was and I used to like revel in it too? I can't tell. but like also I feel like I'm not the most clever man in the world. I don't consider myself like a super genius. I'm not like a huge gamer that grew up on Modern Warfare 2, you know, lobbies and shit, and I don't know how to shit talk with the best of them, right? But like I could probably hold my own, and you just got to know when to cast a stone and when to just like giga chad, right? Like if you watch here's a great example. When Wes BTW, right, was on J-Stalk's stream, bro, they were calling him fat ass. They were calling him obese. They were calling him little dick. They were saying, how the do you have sex with all of these whores when like you can't even see your dick, right? And he's like rolling with it. He's like, yeah, it's not long. It's thick as though, right? Like you just got to learn how to roll with some punches every once in a while. And it feels like the dramas that have happened recently are almost exclusively people doing something very mild that people, you know, poke them for. And then they try to debate bro their way out of a gentle jab. And if you were just normal, if you were just normal about it, it would just go away and no one would care. That's the thing though. Wes ain't gonna give a like I wouldn't give a yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just care less about the space. Maybe I care less about the drama. Maybe I'm just becoming a more mature person. But most of the dramas I see happening nowadays, especially the ones that are like that end up ruining someone's career. It's like, why? How the fuck did you let such a stupid, dumb little thing axe your entire reputation? How did you let this get to this level when there were like 40 off ramps, right? You're driving down the highway to hell and there are all of these exit ramps and you just put that shit, you kick that shit into the fifth gear, you floor it, you rip out the brakes and you just start screeching all the way down to the ninth circle. It's unreal to me, right? If Tom and Kelly were the only ones involved, it would have been 100% different. Yeah, of course it would. But they weren't. And Tom should have taken that into consideration is all I'm saying, right? I don't like seeing Tom, you know, have all this shit thrown at him, right? I don't think that Tom is a bad dude, right? He's had his little dramas in the past. He's had his little, you know, his little ups where people have pointed out weird shit that he's done, right? Like there's the Reddit account stuff, right? But the Reddit stuff wouldn't have happened if he could have just like not cared what people were saying about his stream, you know? In the end, Tom, he could I think that he looks really bad now. Everyone will forget about this in a month. Well, I say everyone, like the people that like to mog him over and over and over will obviously still remember. But for the most part, this will blow over in a month. Unless he totally lacks the self-control that an adult should have. It stops trying to debate people on it. Right? 1 second. Okay, I got your message, Abaddon, for the Vaush stuff. We will look at this. Actually, can I even like show this on stream? But yeah. If Tom gets to be more like I don't give a what people think, he can get through all of this. And honestly, he should stop giving a. Oh, you can't? Yeah, I gotcha. Anyways, yeah, that's like my take so far on the Tom stuff. If someone has a link or a clip of him going into the initial conversation with him and Kelly and J-Stalk and whoever else was in the call, I'd like to see that because I've asked 3 different Discords and they all send me to the same VOD that is not the one where they argue. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, Abby. Anyways, let's see here. In the meantime, we can do
and the ongoing GOP dysfunction.
We can do some sort of like political content because that's what I'm supposed to be, a political streamer, right? Let's see here. Well, also, actually, before we...
Beautiful bastard.
Oh, man, Philly DeFranco. The only reason I click on this is because, see, he's talking about this Gina Carano stuff, and I didn't see that until I turned on my computer to start streaming, so I don't know anything about it. It's got to be one of J-Stalk's garbage VODs the day before or after the ones they sent you. Right, but like, that's why I don't have it, because I'm not willing to go through the effort, because unless we're going to like actually sit here and do a deep dive into the Tom allegations that basically boil down to he was a little bit coon-brained. His chat said some shit that he probably shouldn't have allowed, right? Like, I want to put a baby in her. And if he had just been like a little bit more normal about the whole thing, like, there wouldn't be content, right? The entire reason that there is content is because the mother can't stop, you know? Oh, so much effort? Yeah, it is effort, all right? More effort than I'm willing to put in for such a, like, stupid drama. That's the reason why I think it's stupid, is because it's so avoidable, right? Like, the interesting dramas that happened in the past, right? The stuff with like Destiny and Demon Mama on Dylan Burns' show, or Dylan Burns and the Prime Kai stuff, right? Like, that shit, you know, at least it was interesting because there were actual stakes, right? There was some shit that like people probably couldn't have avoided, right? By just like their reaction to things, right? It wasn't their initial reaction that fucked them up. It was, you know, premeditated crazy shit. Yeah, I don't know. Tom actually said, I didn't talk to her before this, even though he did. It's just garbage because he dug the hole himself. Yeah, that's the thing. He kept on giving them ammunition and then was surprised when he kept on getting shot. Anyways, let's I just want to listen to this and see what this Gina Carano Elon Musk thing is.
And then help me, Elon Musk. You're my only hope. That absolutely top-notch, incredibly expensive recreation is essentially what's believed to have gone down between Gina Carano and Elon Musk. Because he and X are now funding this massive wrongful termination lawsuit against Disney. Because, you know, as you might remember, Gina Carano, she was on The Mandalorian, but then she got fired back in 2021 after making a handful of controversial social media posts. Right? She shared memes on Twitter mocking mask mandates during COVID, also suggesting that there was voter fraud in the 2020 election. Though the one that really ignited the most backlash was a repost on her Instagram story that said Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors. Most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Right, and so with that, you had many saying that she was equating having fringe political beliefs or even just being conservative to being Jewish during the Holocaust.
Yeah. I remember that shit, and even though we have freedom of speech, okay? Even though we have freedom of speech in the United States, hey guys, that doesn't protect you from, you know, being fired for doing shit. You know what I need to do? I need to stop saying. I actually need to cut back on that just a tiny wee bit, you know. But yeah, the idea that you would like sit there and be like, yeah, you know what? It's just like the Holocaust for real, right? Like, I'm next, all right? Never again? It's happening right now because I don't like wearing masks in public. You're making the company that employs you look really bad by doing that. Therefore, you're probably going to get fired, right? It's like kind of the same thing as going on set and screaming the N-word, right? It's not exactly the same. One is probably a little bit more direct, but if you're caught saying racial slurs, people are probably going to fire you because you're making the company look bad, because you are a representative of that company. I don't really have that much sympathy for people who are, you know, terminated as a result of stuff like this. For the sole reason that you are getting paid millions of dollars probably to be in a Star Wars show on Disney Plus that is extremely successful, extremely, it's extremely popular. You're well liked, but the only stipulation is, right, you can't make the company look bad. That's the only stipulation. It's just like being a professional athlete or a college athlete, right? You're a professional athlete. You say some dumbass shit that makes everyone look bad for employing you, right? For having you be a representative of that organization. You're going to get axed at a certain point. If she just said that she was a Trump supporter, it wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been okay for them to fire her, and they probably wouldn't have fired her. But she didn't just do that. She had to go full weird Holocaust revisionism shit. Or like making herself out to seem like she's as, put upon as the Holocausted Jews. It's insane. But anyways, let's see what's going on here.
Notably, when Disney announced that they'd no longer be working with her, the company called her posts abhorrent and unacceptable, with them also accusing her of denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities. But now you got Gina firing back and Elon at her side, filing that lawsuit yesterday accusing Disney of discrimination in her firing. And this is real. The actual lawsuit says, this is word for word, I'm not paraphrasing to be funny. A short time ago, in a galaxy not so far away, defendants made it clear that only...
No. It can't be real. No, please tell me they didn't actually do it like this. That is so unbelievably cringy. Holy shit.
This is real. The actual lawsuit says, this is word for word, I'm not paraphrasing to be funny. A short time ago, in a galaxy not so far away, defendants made it clear that only one orthodoxian thought, speech, or action was acceptable in their empire, and that those who dared to question or failed to fully comply would not be tolerated. And so it was with Carano. Carano was terminated from her role as swiftly as her character's peaceful home planet of Alderaan had been destroyed by the Death Star in an earlier Star Wars film. And all of this because she dared voice her own opinions on social media platforms and elsewhere, and stood up to the online bully mob who demanded her compliance with her extreme progressive ideology. With the lawsuit then going to more clearly argue in like normal English that Disney retaliated against her for expressing her political views, and then went on to damage her reputation and hinder her ability to find work, claiming that she was treated differently from male co-stars who were allowed to express their political beliefs, noting
you can't espouse political beliefs that make the company look bad. That is the caveat. The obvious caveat that they're pretending like it doesn't matter. It obviously matters. If it didn't matter, no one would be talking about this, right? Everyone would be saying, yeah, it's obviously ridiculous that this person is being fired. But a lot of people are, I shouldn't make a lot of people are saying this, so therefore it's true argument. The point is that you are so very obviously making yourself out to be a victim in a way that you probably shouldn't. You should probably never, hey guys, this is just a little life tip for you. You should probably never compare yourself to the Jews in the Holocaust. That might be a hot take, okay? That might be a hot take. But you should probably never compare yourself to being as, as marginalized as Jews in Nazi Germany. You will never come out on top. You will never come out on top, right? If these guys were saying that we should be assaulting police officers and shit like that, I guarantee you, without any caveats or anything like that, they said anything extreme like that, they would also be fired. Even though, that's like a left-wing, meme, like, oh, I don't like cops, right? Even though it's a left-wing meme, they probably still would be fired. It has nothing to do with it being a left-right issue. It is you're making us look terrible for being associated with you. And all you have to do is not make us look terrible for associating with you. And we can totally continue, working together. But she made that impossible. My granddad was Jewish, and he had relatives who died in the Holocaust. And I was like 4 when I watched him slap a man across the face for talking about how the Holocaust was justified. Based? I can't even imagine. I can't imagine someone saying that shit in front of me. And I didn't have any relatives in the Holocaust. Like, it's just like so buck wild. Anyways, let's moving on.
Pedro Pascal has been vocal in support of Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ plus rights, and more. Also referring to one post from 2017 where he suggested Trump is a Nazi sympathizer. So with all this, she's asking to be recast and to receive damages of at least $75,000. But Gina also then further.
Let me think about that one. Let me think about that double standard. Is comparing Trump to Hitler the same as making yourself out to be some kind of, I don't know, major... Wait, people are trapped and cut off from the throne. Oh, no. Starving to death. Let's see if we can find a way to save this guy. Grand ceiling. No, he's just going to starve to death in there. That sucks. Bro. He might actually be completely... No, bro. You're going to starve in there. I'm just going to ignore it until he's dead. Because otherwise I'm going to feel guilty. All right.
Discussing the case online, claiming on X that she was hunted down for her posts, that her words were twisted to demonize her. And with this, thanking Elon and X for allowing her to bring this case to light. And as far as Elon and X, this is a kind of a high-profile follow-through on one of his previous promises, because he promised to cover the legal bills for those who were treated unfairly by employers over their posts on X. And Elon, for his part, seems to be open to growing this effort. Writing yesterday, please let us know if you would like to join the lawsuit against Disney. Now, as of recording, Disney has not responded to the suit, though we did see a lot of reactions, including people who were weighing in on why Elon likely decided to help fund this particular case, with Grant Keane, a communications professor at California State University East Bay, telling the Washington Post, taking on Disney is sort of a right-wing virtue signal right now. There's also another part of this that's more likely closer to Musk. He has a personal motivation to fight with Disney, especially publicly, since they pulled advertising from X. So no matter the reason, it is happening, and we're going to watch it all play out. And while we wait to see, I got to pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts here? Do you feel like this is a legitimate lawsuit, that Disney's in the wrong, or no, do you think it's garbage? Do you land somewhere in between? Why not? I'd love to hear from you. And then in huge international news and also news, we need to talk about Tucker Carlson, because Tucker Carlson just interviewed Vladimir Putin. This has made waves for a number of reasons. With one
Okay, I guess there's not as much to say about the Gina Carano thing. Wait, hold on. One last thing that I'm a little bit curious about. How much are they suing for? Gina Carano. Let's see. Find one that's going to not give me a paywall. Let's see here. Does it say how much are they suing for? Let's see if any. Okay, hold on. Let's see if this loads up. Well, there we go.
Finally, the pressure's on.
Finally, I can skip the ad.
Walt Disney famously said, if you can dream it, you can do it. For over a century now, Disney's used dreams and ideas to entertain us. Everyone, from the most liberal family in California to the most conservative family in Wyoming. Disney never discriminated, until now. 3 years ago, actress Gina Carano was fired from Disney. Why? For speaking her mind.
For making the company look bad. For making the company look bad. That's the only reason. Why are there no hotkeys in this game? Okay. I just don't understand why people like to... There's this thing that people like to do where they will say... They'll look at something that happened and they'll say, what's the best way to explain this? It's like when Trump and his buddies are talking, right? And everyone will explain, oh, well, Trump obviously was trying to subvert the election. Trump was obviously, he was, calling into question all these things that were baseless, yada, 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 right? And the Trump camp will be like, so it's illegal to question anything. No, it's illegal to try to overturn the election. It's not the freedom of speech aspect of this that people are talking about. And for you to boil it down to that is so unbelievably stupid. It is so unbelievably on its face stupid. Because nobody cares if Gina Carano believes that the world is flat. Nobody cares what she thinks. In terms of like her employers, what they care about is What is the presentation that she's putting out into the world, and how does that reflect on us? If someone said, man, you know what? I just love raping people. That's not a political opinion, right? It is freedom of speech to say that. But obviously, the thing that people are getting mad at isn't the fact that they just like can say this, right? They don't want to make it illegal to say that. They're mad that you're saying that and you're employed by us and you're making us look like we endorse.
And she was one of Disney's most talented and beloved up-and-coming actresses.
Yeah, knock him down.
Well, this has been a real treat. Unless you want to go another round, one of us is going to have to move on, and I was here first.
Now, what you saw on the big screens, what you got in real life. Carano's never been afraid of anything. She doesn't hold back. She's criticized social media censorship, COVID lockdowns, BLM. She even said her pronouns were beep, bop, boop, you know, like R2-D2. She said we need to clean up the election process by putting laws in place that protect us against voter fraud. She said screaming at someone that they're...
Oh, shit. You know what? I wonder if Fox is actually going to show what she said. I wonder if Fox is going to actually show what she said. That would be super interesting, dude. That would be super interesting. What was the final straw?
racist when they're not makes you a coward and a bully. Everything she said, I've said, you've said, isn't that controversial? Except to Disney. So they fired her. Quote, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious...
He didn't show it. He only showed the ones that the Fox News people, the people that sit there and, you know, coom to Fox News all day and all night, the ones that they would obviously be chill with. They're not going to show the obviously bad ones that even a Fox News viewer, you know, the average Fox News viewer still supports Israel. The average Fox News viewer is still, you know, not a fan of Holocaust revisionism. So they don't want to show that one. Oh, man, the selectiveness, dude. The selectiveness. Yeah, now that's media censorship right there, if I've ever seen it.
identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. But Carano says Disney hunted her down. Quote, my words were consistently twisted to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right-wing extremist. It was a bullying smear campaign aimed at silencing and destroying and making an example out of me. Today, she announced that with the help of Elon Musk, she's suing Disney. Gina Carano joins us now. Gina, why do you think, after all of the things said and done by actors and actresses of all political stripes, you were specifically targeted?
Because of the Holocaust one, Jesse. I probably shouldn't have said that I was just like the Jews in the Holocaust. But, you know, hindsight is 20/20. And I should probably work on, you know, not saying shit that makes all of my employers look really bad.
Oh, that's a good question. I think maybe because I'm a bit unassuming, I am easy to work with, and I think sometimes, you know, if you ask...
I'm just like so easy to work with and so nice and so, you know, unassuming. That's why they had to fire me. You like, it's like, why do you think that your girlfriend broke up with you? Man, you know, it's because I just cared too much. You know, I just cared too much about her, and she couldn't handle how much I cared about her. And the reality of the situation is, bro, you were like ultra weirdly clingy, and you showed up outside of her work, and that made her very uncomfortable, right? Like, it's like, have a moment for like once in your life, have a moment of self-reflection, right? And self-awareness, where you recognize, oh, the reason why this happened is because of this, because I did this, right? And then you can like try not to replicate the, like, even if your opinions don't change, right? You can at least avoid looking like a total asshole, right? There's just no self-awareness. I'm just too based. That's why they fired me.
Political stripes. You were specifically targeted.
Oh, that's a good question. I think maybe because I'm a bit unassuming, I am easy to work with, and I think sometimes, you know, if you asked anybody on that set, they would say, you know, I was the most non-controversial person, but I think, like we've seen all over America, you know, a lot of us are getting sick and tired. And so I think that I was a bit unassuming in standing up, and I think that's why I was targeted.
What have you learned from all of this? I mean, you were at one of the biggest perches in the entertainment field, and now next day you were canceled.
What I've learned is that if this can happen to me, this can happen to anyone. I'm easy to work with, and I am passionate about what we do. I'm always excited to be on set. I even worked with them as much as I possibly could to resolve any issues that they had. But, you know, eventually you have a line, and, you know, when that line gets crossed, you just have to say, enough. Enough is enough. And if I look back on what if I would have caved and I would have done something that disrespected myself, then I wouldn't be doing any favors to the next generation, to my nieces, to your children, you know. And I felt like since I didn't have any children, I was a person that could stand up and say some things. And the things that I said were so gentle. They weren't aggressive. They were never with ill intent. They were never malicious. And that's how I know, because I was so conscious that, you know, if this can happen to me, this will happen to you. And if we just pass this along to the next generation, you know, it's just going to get worse and worse.
Well, it's good advice, because people, young Americans, come up to me all the time and they say, Jesse, I love what you say. I believe the same thing, but at my job.
Oh my God, what is this weird self-glazing shit going on, dude? Like, young Americans come up to me all the time. They're like, Jesse, how did you become just so based? How is it that you, of all people, were able to see through all of the woke bullshit? I legit think that this is just a unbelievably huge lack of self-awareness. Like, that's gotta be it, right? They literally just don't know. But how could you not, right? How could you not know? 1 second, let me just make this symmetrical. 71 diamonds, and I have 3. Cool. I love that for me. Is that the center? Oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. This is the center. Am I having a stroke? I must be having a stroke. It's not the center. This is the center. It is a not perfectly even thing, right? Yes. Okay. Holy shit. I actually thought that I was having a stroke for a second. Holy. Okay, let's keep going.
Or my college, I can't really say that because I'll get in trouble. What do I do? It's very hard to navigate.
Also, I hate the like soy, oh, well, I just can't say anything or I'll get in trouble. Bro, you know as much as the next person. Wait, why is that happening? I hate this game. You know as much as the next person that this has literally goddamn nothing to do with just like being slightly wrong about something or saying something like
because I'll get in trouble. What do I do? It's very
I can't say this because I'll get in trouble. You know it has nothing to do like, oh, I just can't speak or I'll get in trouble, right? You have to know that because the entire reason why there's trouble. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop playing the game. It's like actually triggering me how stupid this shit is, right? Okay. Everyone has a line. What am I building? I'm building a courthouse, and I'm trying to make it symmetrical, and I need to stop. Okay. Back what I missed. You missed me waffling on speaking. Okay? This is what it is. All right? Everybody gets mad about things that people say always. That is always going to happen. It will always happen for the rest of time. Everybody has their limits. Conservatives have their limits. It actually... Okay. Everyone has their limits. Conservatives, what do they get mad about? You know, if you say that you don't love America, right, that can get you canceled on the right, right? If you hate America, like unironically, you just hate America, right? Not just the current government with Joe Biden, but you just hate America. Or if you say some bad shit about the vets, right? The right will cancel each other like crazy because of things that people say. So they have to walk lightly, right? Look at the situation in the Senate, in the House right now over the immigration bill, right? There are people that want to sign it into law, but they don't want to go against Trump, right? There are people that are in the Republican Party that don't want to support Trump, but feel like they must, because if they say anything bad about the guy, then they will lose re-election. They will, in effect, be canceled. So this happens on the right, too, but they're just pretending that only left-wingers do this. Right-wingers do it, too. You just don't like it when it happens to people on your side. When this is just the way of the world. You don't get to say crazy shit that makes your employer look goddamn, like, crazy bad just because we have freedom of speech. No one would ever accept that. No one would ever want to employ someone that is that unhinged to compare themselves to Jews in the Holocaust.
Very hard to navigate this.
Orange man. Yeah, I mean, you say orange man, right? But like, on the left, if you don't say orange man bad, then you could get canceled. On the right, if you don't say orange man is good, then you could get canceled. Everyone gets mad at words. Literally everyone does. But for some reason, conservatives think that only they can get in trouble for speaking. And it's just this unbelievable victim complex. I'm not like you, snowflake. I don't get offended by words that people say. Words can't hurt me. And yet, here we are. And yet here we are in the real world for a brief moment. Why is it doing this? There we go. Let's just do it like this.
Crazy world that we live in. So, you know, I guess your story is very inspiring to a lot of people, Gina.
I have people at these fan expos that I absolutely love, and I have them coming up in tears, in mass amounts of people come up in tears and just thank me for taking a stand, thank me for saying the things that I said, and that has made it all worth it. No matter what happens, that has made it all worth it. And I really applaud Elon Musk and X for championing me in this lawsuit, and I appreciate all your love and support out there, and I hope I make you proud.
Oh, well, we feel that. Thanks, Gina, and good luck on the litigation, and keep us posted.
I cannot believe how, like, on its face, like, insane these people are when it comes to freedom of speech, that they would be like totally fine with comparing themselves to Holocaust Jews and then pretend like they don't understand why people are upset. You'll play the vid I sent you. Oh, you will laugh. Yeah, okay. Squidward gets canceled. Okay. It doesn't say any N-words, right? It doesn't say any slurs. Why?
Gas prices.
Show up on this window, please. Thank you.
Gas prices sure are high right now. I better bike to my 3 jobs.
Look, Patrick, a sissy libtard. He's probably on his way to get offended and can't.
Please, Berto, for the love of God, tell me it's not a 6-minute video of still frames. Okay, we'll watch a little bit. Okay?
He's complaining about gas prices when he's the one who voted for Brandon.
Oh no, I will. I'll watch it a little bit of it.
Control. He's gonna be so triggered.
What are you two racist, transphobic, xenophobic, alt-right Nazis talking about this time?
Hey, I'm not racist. My wife's boyfriend is black.
This is our secret doomsday bunker. The West is falling, Squidward.
Don't you two incels watch Rick and Morty? Nothing matters. This is all a chemical reaction, you fucks. Nigga, let me in. I'm trying to find social distance. There's a new variant out. Are you two chuds even vaxxed?
Vaccines are how the Democrats control you, Squidward.
Uh-huh. And who told you that?
Trump himself told us via telepathic communication.
I've had it with you, stupid.
Oh, okay. I can't take it anymore. It is making fun of both sides, and it is funny. But I couldn't watch that. I couldn't watch that off stream. Okay, the YouTube poop stuff is just it's man, that's some like 2012 shit, dude. Okay, it is funny though. Freedom of speech isn't freedom from consequences. The more you know. Yeah, seriously. Are they actually debating about Pokemon in here? Cringe. Okay, let's keep going through the content suggestions. There's a lot of them. So good it makes you cough? Very true. Let me see here. Spineless Biden compromises with traitorous Republicans.
Hear about this Biden guy?
I sure have, Vaush. Okay.
Biden called Netanyahu a bad...
Oh, I posted a Lauren Southern versus Lonerbox video, and even though he's painfully British, they do go over the UN Charter on how you should treat refugees. Yeah, no, I saw that, and I'm thinking about watching it later. I'm not offended by Scottish accents, unless they're like, you know, incomprehensible Scottish accents. I am offended by, you know, the really dumb-sounding Kelly Jean British accents. Okay, those offend the fuck out of me. But we'll probably look at that. I like Lonerbox. He's a pretty reasonable guy.
Bad guy, as war in Gaza cost him voters report, and the White House denies this. I believe this happened though because we do have on the record evidence of basically every previous U.S. president hating Netanyahu. You know, Clinton, Obama. I think it was even Bush Jr. as well, right? Nobody likes Netanyahu because he's a freak and he doesn't even pretend to work in line with U.S. interests. So I'll believe he said it, but of course the White House will deny it because they're cowards. This is so disappointing, man. So if you'll recall, there was a battle down in Texas where the Texas National Guard was putting up razor wire so they could drown and lacerate Mexican babies. And the federal government tried to intercede and say, hey, please don't lacerate and drown Mexican babies. To which the Texas National Guard denied them entry, just said, you can't come here. It went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court gave Biden permission, said, yeah, you have the right to go tear down that fencing, as you've said, you can go in there. And rather than comply with the Supreme Court order, the Texas National Guard under Governor Greg Abbott continued to put up more fencing and disallow.
Well, to be super fair and also balanced, you know, as the meme goes, my understanding is that the Supreme Court didn't actually say that they straight up couldn't put up razor wire. They just said that, you know, you can't put up, or you can't stop them from taking it down, which is a very different thing. So, I mean, there's that, right? If we're going to be ultra fair and balanced. I did see, and we're going to go over that a little bit. Once Upon a Time by... Wait, 1 second. What reminds you of a story that you read?
The entry of the federal officers. And what did Biden do with this unironic, actually, like, seditious behavior? He kowtowed. Biden didn't push it and immediately started pivoting to a bipartisan deal on border reform, pushing for more conservative...
They pushed for border control. Why, Vaush? because they were trying to get concessions for Ukraine. Why are you pretending like you don't understand this? You do understand this. You know this. Why are you pretending for a second that that's not the case? This has everything to do with trying to find something that both sides can agree on so that they can actually, get some funding through the House and the Senate. Everything to do with that and nothing to do with what the fuck you're talking about. Vaush doesn't care about Ukraine because he thinks the people defending Ukraine are Nazis, remember? I don't remember this. Anna confronted him on stream over it. I don't remember that shit at all.
More reactionary border reform than even some of the stuff that was done under Trump, completely ceding ground to Greg Abbott. And, maybe the fascists will do less fascism if we give them what they want, Surely the Nazis will stop the Holocaust if we just give them, more Jews we have kept in our basement. Like they'll stop there, What is even the point of federalism then? If the GOP governors can literally just defy Supreme Court rulings and the pussy president does nothing about it, I don't know. What is the point of federalism? Keep in mind, by the way, that Biden could have easily and legally dealt with this, by the way. The Supreme Court literally said that he could. And even without a Supreme Court ruling, Biden has the legal authority as the commander-in-chief to federalize the Texas National Guard, putting them under his direct control. That he could have done that. It wouldn't have been even remotely illegal. There's no controversy around the legality of that behavior, This isn't about Texas. He's been working on a border deal with GOP for months. Nope, it is about Texas because he started talking about this loudly immediately after the standoff with Greg Abbott. Basically, he's saying, what he's signaling is, I won't challenge you on this. Let's work together on the fundamental problem that we're arguing over here with regards to your desire to murder Mexican babies, the deal has been in the works for a while, but the immediate pivot to it in the face of this standoff indicates that this is...
Vaush is actually full mode right here. We've been talking about this compromise bill for months. And when I say we, maybe not, the internet people, right? Maybe not internet people. That's fair, right? Maybe it's a lot more to do with I don't know, real life, political commentators that are on CNN and shit. Maybe that's why he just doesn't seem to understand. But hey guys, we have known about this bill for a while. Actually, for a hot second, we've known about it. Oh my gosh, really? Okay, cool. Anyways, so we've known about it for a while. It's been months that we've known that the Democrats and the Republicans were trying to work towards some kind of compromise that everyone can kind of get along with. Maybe not everyone's going to be happy with it, but we'll try and come to some sort of consensus on this. Why? Because both sides want something here. Both sides definitely want something here. Sorry, I'm actually so confused. How does he think this has anything to do with the Texas border standoff? It's the weirdest post hoc justification. Oh, bro, I actually did it. I actually got to 100. Yeah, that's fine. There we go.
Is his answer to the problem. Like I said, liberal abstemiousness and cowardice is going to cost us everything. Liberals' unwillingness to act in there. We got an unexpected left-leaning Supreme Court ruling. A 6-3 conservative court ruled 5-4 in favor of the federal government's right to tear down border fencing laced with razor wire. But instead we're getting this appeasement bullshit. Statement from President Joe Biden on bipartisan Senate National Security Agreement. For too long, going back decades, the immigration system has been broken. It's time to fix it. That's why over 2 months I instructed members of my administration to work with a bipartisan group of senators. I love bipartisanship when one half of the constructed political environment is overtly fascist and anti-democratic. I love still signaling bipartisanship when in one of the Republican primary debates, they were bragging about how much they want to invade Mexico, Vaush, you're so completely wrong, lol. This is a power play to show the American people Republicans aren't really bothered about immigration. Your take is the Republicans take. No, you are so man. You really think this is some like by working with the fascists to put forward fascist approved anti-immigrant legislation, we're actually epically owning them by showing that we care most about killing brown babies, you know? We're undercutting, we're unironically, we're like flanking Republicans.
Has he even read the bill? Does he even know what is in the bill? Does he know anything about what he's talking about whatsoever? Like, there's no way, right? There's like actually no conceivable way that you can. Why is it so dark? Why can I not see anything on my screen? Okay. Like, my understanding is there's a lot of stuff that, like, on its face, because of, you know, because of like who I am as a person, it probably feels really bad, right? Probably feels really, really bad to have some of these things, you know, go through. Probably feels really, really, really bad. Like, you know, we can completely shut down the border. It's easier to deport people, you know, shit like that. That feels really bad as a left-leaning person. But, like, at a certain point, you got to say, okay, well, what can we get out of this? And what can they get out of this? And can we come to some sort of resolution that will be acceptable to all of us so that we can just, like, move forward, right? There is a problem at the southern border, right? I don't think that anyone in their right mind has ever disagreed with that. Like, if you disagree with this, with the idea that there's a problem at the border, you're actually a insane lunatic. I don't even know what to fucking say to you. It is so obvious that there's a problem at the border. To pretend that there's not anything wrong at the border is to live in a fantasy world. Okay, you guys are still digging. Cool.
From the right? Like, what argument is that? Ridiculous. Nonsense. You can't... Flanking from the right doesn't work when you're just doing the bad thing that they want you to do. Is Biden as bad as the UK Labour Party at this point? Thankfully, no. But, you know, he's working. He's working. Effort is being made. Yeah, wait, the Republican House will never pass the bill. That's the whole point. You don't seem to understand. Why would you think that would do anything? Why would you think that in a standoff with seditious behavior from a Republican governor, that ignoring a Supreme Court ruling, not exercising his federal power, and just like going, okay, if you care about immigration so much, let's do this. You know what they're going to do? Republicans are going to say, no, we don't want this bill because it's not fascist enough, and nothing will change. The only thing that will have materially changed is that Biden will have given up an opportunity to crush seditious behavior from a disobedient, law-breaking Republican governor. That's the only thing that'll change. You think there are going to be Republicans who are going to go like, wow, Biden was trying to fix the border and the Republicans didn't go for it. Do you think they give a shit? You're a liberal. Liberal. I name you liberal. You think this can be addressed with some kind of like cutesy little hypocrisy point? Power is what we need. He should have been crushed. People like you are why we're all going to die. But I'll take...
We live in a world where there is a literal 2-vote margin in the House. There is a 1-vote in the Senate. The Republicans only have 2 more votes than the Democrats do in the House. The Democrats only have 1 more vote than the Republicans in the Senate. You don't get any more divided as a country than that. Okay? You just don't. That is as close as you can get without it being an even tie, if that's even possible, in the House, right? Hold on. Expand area. Thank you. Let's go ahead and take that over. Go ahead and take that over. You guys, there we go.
Take you out first. Permanent.
Like, does he think that you can just like always, like into perpetuity, always get what you want no matter what? When you don't even control one of the 2 houses of Congress? When you are on a literal knife's edge on whether you could pass any legislation ever?
In VGG. You. I'm sure enabling GOP governors to do literally whatever they want in contradiction of Supreme Court orders is going to work out great, you know? I'm sure lots of red voters are going to move over blue when they see the GOP fail to pass the bill that they ostensibly should be interested in passing, in spite of the fact that support for the GOP.
Also, unironically, yeah, I think that it has been an actual decent attack on the Republicans that, like, you guys have been crying bloody tears, shitting yourselves in anger over the border for 30 years. You have a chance to get probably 80% of what you want with no caveats, with no takes backsies, and you're going to pretend you're going to wait for a purely Republican bill, or a purely Republican bill, which you've been unable to, you've been unable to produce this entire time. Now suddenly, you definitely are going to be able to do it without the Democrats' help. In what world do these people live in that they think that this isn't a pretty decent attack on a Republican Party who is struggling to figure out what their party platform is? I don't even know if the Republicans have. I don't even know if they have a platform. Didn't they do away with the concept of having a party platform in 2020 because it could run counter to what Trump wanted? Like, I'm almost certain that that's some real shit that actually happened. They just got rid of having a party platform because Donald Trump was so schizophrenic on all the things that they wanted to do that they just stopped having a platform.
GOP has obviously not been based in policy outcomes for like nearly a decade now. Over a decade. He's a DGGer, sending their best. Anyway, and that's what we've done, working around the clock through the holidays and over weekends. Now we've reached an agreement on a bipartisan national security deal that includes the toughest and fairest set of border reforms in decades. I strongly support it. That's what I love to see. If from my left-leaning president, I love to see tough border reforms. It'll make our country safer, make our border more...
You have argued for border reforms yourself, Vaush. You yourself have argued for border reforms. Why are you pretending like you've never done that? You obviously have. Because you've argued with Nazis. You've argued with Nazis about border reform. I used to be a fan of Vaush. I would know this. I stole his arguments so I could stream.
More secure, treat people fairly and humanely while preserving legal immigration, consistent with our values as a nation. It would give me, as president, a new emergency authority to shut down the border when it becomes overwhelmed. So there you go, guys. We're really doing it. We're epically owning the Republicans by introducing a kill switch from the executive branch. I sure hope nobody soon takes the Oval Office who might abuse that power. It'll make our asylum process fairer and more efficient while protecting the most vulnerable. It'll expedite work permits so those who are here and qualify to get work more quickly. It'll create more opportunities for families to come together, blah, blah, blah. It ensures the most vulnerable, unaccompanied young children have paid legal representation. It'll provide the resources I have repeatedly requested to secure the border by adding Border Patrol agents, immigration judges, asylum officers, and cutting-edge inspection machines to help detect and stop the flow of fentanyl. Is that how they think? Is that how fentanyl gets in? It's just like random poor Colombians, like with their pockets full of it, as opposed to corruption. Like, a lot of fentanyl comes through the border, sure, but we literally have evidence of corruption, of like local American police departments working and getting cuts for like allowing shipments in. It comes in massive quantities. The only thing here that I actually really do want...
There's no way Vaush actually thinks the reason why fentanyl is a big problem in the United States, please tell me it ain't true. Tell me it ain't true, Vaush, that you think that the reason we have a fentanyl problem in the United States is because of corrupt cops? There's no shot. I've said Vaush is a million times. And half the time, I'm memeing. But you would actually have to be like Down syndrome, no thoughts in your head to unironically believe. Yeah, I refuse. I refuse to believe that there's no way he actually believes that. No one's that.
Is more money going to immigration judges, asylum officers? These are the things that I really want. I think Biden is trying to show the Republicans care a lot more about killing migrants than actually solving the problem. Mr. Goodsocks, they don't care. We are well past the point of you realize this has been happening for like years now, right? Of Republicans saying, we support X, and then Democrats going, okay, so then you should be in favor of this bill then. And then they just don't vote for it. You realize Republicans have, to a man, voted no on like everything good, right? They'll say shootings are a mental health problem. Then all of them vote no on funding to mental health services in schools. Or like, you know, this should be good. And then like the Democrats put forward a bill and no Republican votes in it. This doesn't work. This strategy of epically owning the GOP by like, oh, well, if you really care, then you should do this, you know? Logically, wouldn't your behavior indicate you only care about killing migrants? They've been open about that for years. No shit. Greg Abbott has literally said that they would be murdering migrants in Texas if they weren't charged for it. Like if it wasn't for the fact that they would be charged for it. Like what? With this epic maneuver, I may cede lots of power to seditious GOP governors, but at the same time, I will also prove Republicans are fascists once and for all. Wow, thank you.
There's never been a border bill like this one where both sides of the aisle are having their legitimate wants considered. It's usually either one side or the other is putting something forward so that they can get an epic own on the other side because they think that they can get it through with the votes that they have, or they're just pretending that they have the votes that they, you know, like most of the time it's just political posturing.
Thank you. I was struggling to find evidence for this case for a long time, but now that it's been proven, everything is so much clearer. You know, that's whoa. You're telling me the GOP has an incoherent border policy that they fearmonger over without actually proposing any real solutions? You know, that's crazy. Nothing I hate more than people running in here to like spam post to alert me to a thing I've already covered in the stream. I can see your chat. I'm looking. You can see me looking right here. I see you. Stop spam. I see all the chat all the time. He's trying to get the media to turn on the GOP. It won't. That's not how it works. The media doesn't turn on the GOP. That's not how it works. We don't have a neutral media that shifts its perspective based on the facts. If we did, every media outlet would be pro-Democrat, like, or at the very least anti-Republican, you know? Liberals. Notice how everyone who disagrees with me on this, all the people in chat who have gotten mad at and singled out, even though they're like 1 in 100, the liberal attitude, they're going to be the death of us. Okay? They're going to be the death of us. And by the way, when we're all hauled off to the death camps, they're going to say that we were the problem, you know? And in the face of
now,
all the
Vaush
weakness and abstemiousness, all of the decisions...
No way. Did Vaush... Let me hear the analogy again.
Liberals. Notice how everyone who disagrees with me on this, all the people in chat who have gotten mad at and singled out, even though they're like 1 in 100, the liberal attitude, they're going to be the death of us, okay? They're going to be the death of us. And by the way, when we're all hauled off to the death camps, they're going to say that we were the problem, you know? And in the face of all the weakness...
It's like, honestly, if we lived in a just world, people like Vaush would also lose their jobs for comparing themselves to the Holocaust Jews. Like, everyone wants to be the ultimate victim. Everyone wants to be the ultimate victim. And there's no greater way to become the ultimate victim than to say, yo, the Jews and the Holocaust, bro, I'm just like them for real. Like, there's no greater way. There is no greater way.
and abstemiousness, all of the decisions Biden could have made to legally crush this early, none of that, you know, their mind will skip right over it, and it'll be the crazy leftists who were warning about this, prior. We were the ones, actually, because of, like, I don't know, Bernie or bust, or because, like, a bunch of 19-year-olds didn't vote after Biden abetted a genocide in Gaza. Like, Biden's behavior was flawless. What else could have been done? I think he's trying to be a bitch, Mr. Goodsocks. The bipartisan national security agreement would also address two other important priorities. It allows the U.S. to continue our vital work. So yeah, money to Ukraine and life-saving humanitarian assistance to the Palestinian people. And of course, it provides Israel what they need to do to protect their people and defend itself against Hamas terrorists. That's great, you know. Israel didn't have enough weapons. We need to give them more. We have no choice but to give them more. They didn't have enough. You know, we need to slightly expedite their process of liquidating the population of the Gaza Strip. Listen to this smarmy liberal. Listen to this. Sickening. It actually hurts to look at. There is more work to be done to get over the finish line, but I want to be clear about something. If you believe, as I do, that we must secure the border now, doing nothing is not an option. Working with my administration, the U.S. Senate has done the hard work it takes to reach a bipartisan agreement. Now, House Republicans have to decide, do they want to solve the problem, or do they want to keep playing politics with the border? It seems I have placed you in a confounding logical trap, House Republicans. If you don't vote yes, you'll reveal yourself to be inconsistent and politically motivated. Something you haven't already indicated yourself to be every day of every year for the past 8 years. Yeah, you're right. It's West Wing shit, JS23. This is revolting. Does Biden not do research in his constituency? Arrogance is the defining trait of the DNC in this regard, more so than Republicans. Republicans will anxiously shift their rhetoric to whatever they need to advance their agenda. You know, they're incredibly sensitive to what their base wants, which is why the Republican Party has changed so much since the Bush days. The DNC is still, like, Biden was a senator before I was born. This man is ancient, and the DNC is run by ancient people for the most part, you know? Their ineffectiveness, their weakness. This is the reason why Democrats massively underperform in a blue powerhouse state like New York, because the people who are doing the local organizing are ancient dinosaurs, you know? They're all like wealthy, Wall Street liberals who think they're better than you, and they don't bother doing any kind of research in their constituency or adjusting their rhetoric because they hit their height back in the Clinton years, and they don't give a and they know that the Republicans are wrong, and that's all they think it takes. They think that's all it takes, you know? Republicans are wrong. They get to be smarmy about it. How do you think Hillary Clinton ended up being the runaway favorite in 2016? Do you think anyone asked? Think, the DNC, the institution that produced Hillary Clinton, of course they don't care. Democrat voters voted for her. Notably, not enough of them. Famously, not enough of them. I've made my decision. I'm ready to solve the problem. I'm ready to secure the border. This is what Democrats want.
And also, to be clear, the reason that the Republicans don't want to get this through is because they don't want to give Biden another giant ass W. Biden's presidency has been marked by just continual W after W after W. It's actually insane. He has gotten so many major pieces of legislation through that every president of my lifetime has promised. The Republicans don't want to give him another W. That's the beginning and the end of it.
And so are the American people. I know we have our divisions at home, but we cannot let partisan politics get in the way of our responsibilities as a great nation. This is such a Weimar moment, dude. Jesus Christ.
Weimar moment.
Like,
oh my God.
Like openly insurrectionist party on the other side, and he's just like folded his arms, you know, with the DreamWorks face. I refuse to let that happen. In moments like these, we have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there is nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. I urge Congress to come together and swiftly pass this bipartisan agreement. Get it to my desk so I can sign it into law immediately. And immediately afterwards, Donald Trump says to reject the deal because they don't care. Whoa! They'll just reject it because they don't care? Wow, what a I'm sure he'll face unimaginable political consequences for this. You know, the GOP constituency will rise up and oust Donald Trump because it turns out he's inconsistent and lies and doesn't care about America. Who could have possibly seen this coming? Don't be stupid. We need a separate border and immigration bill. It should not be tied to foreign aid in any way, shape, or form, said Trump, who is running for re-election. Senators unveiled one of the harshest immigration bills in a generation this Sunday. It would be a major win for
Yeah, is there anyone that can? Is there anyone that has or can find me a quick video of basically a rundown or a what's the word I'm looking for? A summary of the a summary of the bill in question. Is there any way that someone can get me that really quick while we listen to Vaush cope and seethe over the fact that, you know, bipartisanism is a hallmark of our democracy, or basically any democracy ever, and that sometimes you have to deal with people that you don't like?
Immigration hawks, full of concessions Democrats would normally have strongly opposed. I'm sure this indication that we're willing to be bipartisan and compromise with the fascists will put the fascists at ease. Fascists stop doing what they're doing when you give them what they want, right? But Trump has an iron grip on the Republicans leading the House of Representatives and was called repeatedly for the party to kill the legislation and deny Biden and his Democrats a political victory ahead of November's election. This bill is a great gift to the Democrats and a death wish for the Republican Party. So yeah, it's probably not going to end up passing, and nothing will happen except Biden ceding ground, showing weakness, and giving up the chance to crush Greg Abbott's seditious behavior. New border legislation, the White House says it strongly supports, would grant the Homeland Security Secretary the power to summarily deport undocumented immigrants at his sole and unreviewable discretion during border emergencies. Thanks, Biden. This is what Democrats wanted. This is what they voted you in for.
Hold on. New border legislation, the White House says it strongly supports, would grant the Homeland Security Secretary the power to summarily deport undocumented immigrants at his sole and unreviewable discretion whenever the Border Emergency Authority is activated. That means that there's a threshold that they have to hit first. Right? Like 5,000 crossings in one day? I think you're being too charitable towards Republicans and downplaying Trump's influence. Me? Hey, how's it going, Econo Boy? How am I being charitable towards Republicans? They're pussies. They can't argue with Papa Trump.
Or the Homeland Security Secretary with no oversight deporting people during border emergencies. That's great. Serious question, would you vote for this bill if you were in Congress? No. Because there's no other way to get Ukraine funding to pass? Well, sucks for Ukraine. Sorry, gonna need a better bill than what if we did fascism at home?
What about
like a stipend
fascism
on the money going over? Would you have supported this if you meant aid?
So true, Econo Boy.
Are you people insane? Why? The whole point of supporting Ukraine is to keep the fascists from winning over there. Why would I cede ground to fascists here to support them? Why would I do that? This basically sets the precedent that Texas can bully the president into giving them whatever they want. Why? Not just Texas, any GOP governor. It. Apparently, even with a Supreme Court ruling giving Biden explicit permission to do through federal agents what he already wanted to do in the area.
You said it was because they don't want to give Biden a W? That is explicitly why Donald Trump told them not to support it. They don't want to give Biden a W. That's true. They want to give Biden a W because they want to help Trump, because Trump said he wants to have it as a That's weird. Why is it? Oh, is it resetting from the top to the bottom? Got it. That's what I mean. Okay, yeah, we're talking past each other but agreeing.
He'll just back off and then go, we may disagree, but if you really care about a solution, then what if I just did like everything you want me to do? Curious. Key highlights of the Senate's proposed border deal package. New emergency authority to restrict border crossings if daily average migrant encounters reach 4,000 over a 1-week span. What? Daily average migrant encounters are going to reach 4,000 over a 1-week span every week, aren't they? How many encounters do we have a year? If you divide that by 52, it's significantly... What? U.S. southern border has witnessed a...
Okay, you know what? I changed my mind. Vaush isn't being bad faith. He actually is. How do you not understand that? Go back. Hold on. Is it ambiguous wording?
Reach 4,000 over a 1 week. Like, everything you want me to do. Curious. Key highlights of the Senate's proposed border deal package. New emergency authority to restrict border crossings if daily average migrant encounters reach 4,000 over a 1 week span. What? Daily average migrant encounters are going to reach 4,000 over a 1 week span every week, aren't they? How many encounters do we have a year? If you divide that by 52, it's significantly...
They're saying that if 4,000 people try to cross every day for a week on average, that they can shut the border down for X amount of days. What is hard to understand about that? Like at all? Like what at all is hard to understand there? Someone help me. I don't understand what he's confused about.
U.S. southern border has witnessed a record of at least 6.3 million encounters between ports of entry since Biden took office in January 2021. Okay, so divide that by 3 per year. That's, let's say, round down, 2 million a year. And then per week, that's what? 200,000, 40,000. Are we currently having 10 times the daily migrant encounters? Oh, sorry, daily. It's over a 1 week span, but not daily. Okay, so daily. So divided by 2 million divided by 365 is more than 4,000. Like 5 or 6,000. So yeah,
so it's a lot. It means that there is an unprecedented level of immigration right now, Vaush. That's what that means.
Current amount of people that are coming in through the border every day significantly exceeds the emergency threshold. So it would just immediately, if that metric is reached, the Homeland Security Secretary could decide to largely bar migrants from seeking asylum. If migrant crossings increase above 5,000 on average, the DHS is required to use that authority. If encounters reach 8,500 in 1 day, the department is required to trigger the authority. How many are we getting per day? Like, not averaged. Per day, U.S. Border Patrol encounters around 3,500. But that's just U.S. Border Patrol. That's not the only. Federal officials had about 10,000 encounters with migrants per day at the U.S.-Mexico border before the emergency health order ended late Thursday. I mean, the type of encounter is going to vary a lot, but it seems like this would just immediately trigger the emergency threshold. The federal government's limited in how long it can use this authority. In the first year, the government can use it for 270 days, then 225 days, then 180 days the third year. That's cool. 3-year emergency authorization. But don't worry, guys. You can only use it for subsequent. This is such a liberal... They've means tested the fascism. Yes, you can do fascism, okay? But you can only do it so you have subsequent years and there's a daily allotment per year and you have to file a Pell Grant that allows you to... Jesus! Expedites the asylum processing timeline from years to 6 months. That's good. That part is good, at least. Introduces a new process in which U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services would decide an asylum claim without it going through the immigration court system. This process doesn't apply to unaccompanied migrant children. What? So just like another secret high council that just bypasses the court system? Like you just go to a tribunal of wizards and they decide? Preserves the president's authority to designate humanitarian parole on a case-by-case basis. Joe Biden has used the authority for Ukrainians, Afghans, Cubans, Venezuelans, and Haitians, among other populations. Okay. Authorizes 250,000 additional immigrant visas. That's good, at least, I guess. Provides a pathway to citizenship for Afghans paroled into the U.S. after the U.S.'s withdrawal from Afghanistan. The fact that it took this long to even... Look, when we all die, I just want you to know that I was right. That let those be your last moments, okay?
Oh my God, he's such a fear-mongering cuck. He is such a fear-mongering cuck. He wants his audience to be terrified of everything. So the revolution will happen eventually, I guess. Like, what other reason could there be? Like, what the f does he... The fascism isn't happening right now under Biden. How is the fascism happening under Biden, Vaush?
I'm thinking, wow, that weird autistic guy that I used to watch sometimes on YouTube before all the bad things happened, that guy sure was cooking. He sure had some points. That doesn't work, Hunter. This moral high ground politics shit only cedes ground to them. Like, it doesn't work. Yeah, it's so cool how, like, literally most GOP governors performatively sent their own National Guard over to Texas to show support for the unlawful barring of federal agents from the border, and Biden just let this happen. Like, half of the states signaled seditious intent by openly defying a Supreme Court order and sending troops. Like, do you understand what it means for red states to send troops to support Greg Abbott in his defiance of a Supreme Court ruling? Do you know what that means? Do you have any idea? And Biden just lets it happen. Doesn't just let it happen, drops the issue and goes, well, if you care so much, then you'll be okay with this 82% fascist deal that I have, huh? To which they reject because they want 100% fascism. That's great. I love it. Oh my God, I love it so much. Ooh, I love it. I love politics. We taught a monkey to understand American liberal obsession with bipartisanship, and it killed itself instantly. It hanged itself. If the Supreme Court gives Biden full permission to send in federal agents to tear down the fencing, but they're just putting up more fencing, like, that's obviously a defiance of it. Like, obviously it didn't come to, you know, a firefight or whatever over the technicalities, but it's very obvious what they're doing, and that Biden is ceding. To be fair, though, Vaush, I understand the argument of contesting the court. We shouldn't tolerate it. Why are we expected to take in millions of people coming into the country illegally? Why not? Also, what do you mean we are expected? You're not doing anything. What are you doing? Well, is your house being burdened by them? There are better ways to handle our immigration system than what we're doing right now. I fully acknowledge that. There are problems. But these are not solutions to the problems. More money to... Being able to like shut down the border is a solution, and that's the things that the Republicans want. Now, what is it that the Democrats wanted, and what is it that the Democrats got in the bill? The Democrats wanted things that both me and Vaush would want. Increased funding to Border Patrol, increased funding and increasing the numbers of judges that handle these cases, expediting the asylum-seeking process, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why do feds want to force states what to do? This is America, and we should have more power in local communities. Drazdy, I don't know where you're from, but I'm an American, and I support the Constitution. The Constitution has these things called like delegated powers, right? Some powers are delegated to the states. Some powers are delegated to the federal government. One of the powers delegated to the federal government are issues concerning the border. That's just the way it is. The federal government has that as their jurisdiction. I can't speak. This is not a controversial thing in basically any circle ever. I genuinely don't even know what to say here. Then the federal government should be stronger and crack down on these third world invaders. Well, I don't like the framing of what you're saying, but you know what? If that's how you feel, that's just fine with me. All right. The issue is that the Republicans, who ostensibly have wanted stronger border controls for the longest time, are suddenly very against doing the very thing that they've been saying needs to happen for decades. We're going to go over exactly what's in the bill here in a second, but I know a little bit of what's in this bill, and it seems pretty strongly in favor of the Republicans in terms of what people want to happen at the border, right? Like, the Dems aren't walking away with this one for, with everything that they want. Wait, hold on. If the feds don't do their job and stop these non-white hordes, then they shouldn't complain about state governments are doing their job. Drazzy bro, you know what? I don't levy this at just anyone, but I'm going to levy it at you. I never call my chatters this unless I actually think that they are.
But I think you might be a little bit racist. I think that there might be a twinge of racism kind of mingling somewhere in your head. I came in at a weird time. What's up, my fellow white hordes? Hey, how's it going, see?
To immigration judges, to asylum officers, that sort of thing. These things would meaningfully help. Why Biden is so weak right now? Liberal. Liberal. What can we do about this other than seethe? Nothing at the moment. The only real political decision that we have coming up, it seems, is whether or not we have fascism with Donald Trump or weak, milquetoast, pathetic, limp-wristed liberal appeasement with Biden. The latter is better than the former, so get to it. Vote for Biden. You're all very excited for this, I assume. If Donald Trump loses and then dies...
I don't have anything against different races. I just think that he should come in legally for economic reasons and not violate our process and laws. Then you should support this bill that expands the federal government's powers to control the border. And it sounds like you're more of a conservative than a liberal. Therefore, you probably vote more Republican than Democrat. And if I were you, and I was principally against, illegal immigration, which I don't know why I'm saying if. I am principally against illegal immigration. I don't think illegal immigration is a good thing. Okay? If I were in your position, I would maybe either contact my my state senator, or not my state senator, my senator in my state, and tell them to support the bill that is supposed to be helping with the problem that conservatives seem to have a problem with. There you go.
On account of being old, it'll probably set the GOP back quite a lot when it comes to their willingness and interest in pushing for certain reforms. So, it might be a waiting game to an extent. But yeah, that's the dealio. Sure, Biden needs to win, but should Palestinians be expected to vote for him? Every human on earth should be expected to vote for him. It's moral outcomes. It's not a matter of whether or not it's fair. The outcome of Biden winning is superior to the outcome of Trump winning. Therefore, we should vote for Biden. I don't expect Palestinians to vote for him, and I'm not going to blame Palestinians for not. They have reasons not to, but of course, their decision not to is wrong. It's just a matter of whether or not I have a compelling argument to make, the likelihood of them actually shifting their perspective or doing it,
I don't know how someone speaks in such a way as to, make everyone think that he is super smart while also being a major and not seemingly not understanding a goddamn thing about what you're talking about. One second. Let's pause this. Okay. Jesse Waters detailed. Are we actually going to trust Jesse Waters, the guy that we were watching earlier that pretended like Gina Carano didn't, make herself out to be a Holocaust victim? And that's why she got fired? Is that what we're doing? Okay, let's see what he has to say.
Reading for pleasure expands your mind. Reading for work gets you a promotion. But Americans are pinched for time. Washington knows this. And every year, Congress spits out legislation gazillions of pages long.
Well, hold on. Before we watch someone lie, you know what? F it. I had this loaded up. This is the conservative, I believe. Yes, the conservative who worked on this bill with Democrats, trying to get people to vote for the bill and explaining what's in it on that video. I've always wondered if we should try to pass a law to limit the length of legislation. But we already do that. Like the bill itself is effective for 3 years or some shit like that, right? Like we can either impose restrictions, like chronological restrictions on bills, or we can leave them, open forever. Like we can do either of these things.
Senator from Oklahoma. like unanimous consent to be able to use a prop during this speech.
Oh, you mean word limit? I don't think that that would be a good thing, because our government is so large, in terms of like it being a, what do you call it, a bureaucratic state. Like we have such a large bureaucratic state that it would be very, very difficult, to say the least, to pass anything if we limited ourselves on how many words could be in it, or how many conditions, or, you know, whatever limitations. I just think that that would be really, really difficult for us to deal with.
Without objection.
About an hour, this body will gather. There'll be 100 senators here to make a decision about what we're going to do to take a step on border security. It's an issue that's bedeviled, quite frankly, this body for decades. It's been 3 decades since we've passed anything into law to be able to change border security. In the meantime, administration after administration has pieced together the broken pieces of law in the disjointed pieces and tried to make regulatory actions to see what they can do to be able to change the direction of the country. We've seen it just over the last 10 or 15 years. What's really happened with that? I mean, it's just an encounter number from CBP, and we can look back to 2009, and we can see the numbers stayed about 500,000 or so for multiple years. This is through the Obama administration, as they struggled, because the numbers were lower than this even before, as they struggled with 500,000 numbers. And then we see during the Trump administration how the numbers bump up and jump up here all the way almost to 1 million in a single year. It's twice as many as it was during the Obama time period. And then we see the COVID time period, it dives back down, and then right there is the transition in President Biden's time, and the numbers have skyrocketed. They doubled from the Obama administration to this year in the Trump administration, but then they've tripled even from the highest year of the Trump administration during the Biden administration. And it wasn't a single bump year like it was under the Trump administration. It's been year after year after year. And by the way, this little one, that's this fiscal year. That's just since October, which, by the way, you'll notice in the last 4 months is higher than any year under the Obama administration, and almost as high as the peak year under the Trump administration. And that's 4 months.
They have 20 days to pass a spending bill, and if they don't, well, I guess well, I mean, what will happen is the Republicans will blame the Democrats, and the Democrats will blame the Republicans, and nothing will get done. Oh, for your state. Oh, got you.
So far this year.
Hold on, but isn't there actually some sort of major issue right now with spending bills in the U.S. federal government? Or am I super wrong on that? House. Okay, let's do this, and then this, and then this.
Americans feel it. We feel it in our cities. We feel it in our schools and our communities. We see the television, and we see all of the chaos on our southern border. Cities around the country have said, do something. Make this stop. Americans, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, are all unanimous on this issue. This is a problem that needs to be solved. Do what you can. Today, we get to decide if we're going to do that or not. If we're going to do nothing, or do something. The bill that's been put together has been a bipartisan effort. Welcome to the United States Senate. That's what we have to do. While I have people from around the country and back home that say, do a Republican-only bill, just get all of our priorities and none of theirs, I smile at them and say, welcome to governance. You can do a partisan bill in the House, but in the Senate, we have to look at each other across the aisle and then figure out a way to be able to solve this. Sometimes it's in committees, sometimes it's a gathering, sometimes it was like this time. Get members together, Republican, Independent, Democrat, to be able to sit down and hash out the issues. To say this is a problem, we all agree. We're not going to agree on the solutions necessarily, but we all agree this is a problem, but we have to figure out what the solutions might be. That's been the process for the last 4 months. 4 months to sit down and hash through the very difficult, very technical issues of border security in our nation. With one goal, let's make progress. We understood from the beginning we're not going to solve everything. We're not. We knew from the beginning it's not going to be perfect, but we also knew the status quo is untenable. We have to do something to be able to make the status quo better. So that's what we work towards, to be able to change where we are now. The product we put out this past weekend allowed everybody to see it. Quite frankly, I had some of my colleagues that said I'll need weeks to evaluate it because it's so technical, and it is, but some of them literally within minutes said, no, I don't agree. Fine. But after time to be able to review it, the National Border Patrol Council, the group that's actually on the ground trying to manage the chaos, they read through the bill and evaluated it. The National Border Patrol Council gave this statement. The Border Patrol Act of 2024 will give the United States Border Patrol agents authorities codified in law that we have not had in the past. While not perfect, and I'll agree with them on that, the Border Patrol Act of 2024 is a step in the right direction, and it is far better than the current status quo. This is why the National Border Patrol Council endorses this bill and hopes for its quick passage. I understand this. In this building and in the 202 area code that is Washington, D.C., border security is a political issue. But if we leave the 202 area code, everywhere else in the country, this is not a political issue, it's a national security issue. And when you actually go to the Border Patrol Council, those that see the chaos day to day, they're saying, send us some help, send us anything. Because quite frankly, Americans are frustrated and angry because our borders are open. They've seen the record numbers in the last 4 months. They know full well what's happening. The 60 Minutes story from this last weekend about Chinese nationals using TikTok to be able to find the holes in the fence and to be able to navigate it, how to be able to connect with Mexican cartel members to be able to navigate them through Mexico to be able to get through. Why is that such a big story? Because we used to rarely have Chinese nationals come across our border. But yet, last year, we had 37,000 Chinese nationals come across our border. 37,000. Americans watched the story of a group of migrants in New York City ruthlessly beating up a police officer this past week. And then seeing they were released again. They're angry. They're frustrated. The stories that have come out in the news recently of 3 child sex traffickers who had attempted re-entry back into the United States make Americans go, hold on. And just a few days ago, the story coming out of an al-Shabaab terrorist on our terror watch list that had come across our border and been released just early last year, that they then picked them up while they were in Minnesota just a few weeks ago. We've had 50 people that have been identified on the terror watch list that we did apprehend in just the last 4 months. We've had tens of thousands of people in the last year that were identified by this administration as individuals, what they call special interest aliens. By definition, they're a national security risk. Tens of thousands. That we didn't know their name in particular, but we know where they live is in an area of high national security risk because a high terrorism rate is coming from that area. So we have no criminal history on them to be able to identify them on our terror watch list, but we know there's a high chance they're a national security risk. Those individuals were released into the country. Americans feel it. They want something different. The Americans that I talk to and the Oklahomans that I talk to don't mind leaving.
I've heard about this, but I haven't looked at it like basically at all. If anyone has like a link to a video on that, we can also listen to that because that sounds like something that is probably going to be talked about a lot. So I don't know much of anything on the like immigrants beating up a border patrol, or no, not border patrol agent, what do you call it? Just a police officer.
Legal immigration. In fact, they celebrate legal immigration. They just don't want illegal immigration. They want an orderly process. They want to know that the rule of law still matters in America. That's what they want to know. They want to know their American way of life is protected, and that should not be too much to demand. This very divided nation brings to us a very divided Congress. Currently, we have a Republican 2-vote majority in the House of Representatives and a Democrat 1-vote majority in the United States Senate. It doesn't get much closer than that to being equally divided
I said
into
that.
bodies. But that means if we're going to solve something, we have to sit down together and solve it. That's how it works when you make law. You can do press conferences without the other side, but you can't make law without the other side in the United States Senate. So we have to sit down and work things out. In October, when Israel was ruthlessly attacked with a terrorist attack by Hamas, the President of the United States came to Congress and said, we need additional funding to help Israel, to help Ukraine, to help with the threats in Taiwan, and additional money for our southern border. Republicans responded by saying, we are not going to help give money to the southern border, by the way, especially for some of the funding that they asked for on the southern border, like safe migration offices to be able to help facilitate greater traffic to the United States. We said, we're not going to do that. We're not going to give additional money to the southern border unless we get a change in law and policy. It's not a radical concept, quite frankly. The House of Representatives last year passed a very comprehensive bill on border security that they call H.R. 2. It was one of their priorities. You know why? Because the House of Representatives at that time said we need a change in law. So they brought a bill to change the law for that. We said the same thing. We need a change in law because it's significant what has occurred, and we need to address it. The frightening thing is, since we started meeting in a bipartisan way in October, October was the highest number of illegal crossings in any October in our history. November was the highest number of illegal crossings of any November in our history. December was the highest number of illegal crossings of any December in our history, and the highest single month in history of illegal crossings, including having the highest single day ever in the history of our country in illegal crossings. Over 12,000 in a single day. That's what's happened just since we've been negotiating this bill, trying to be able to get to a solution. The problem has not gotten better, it's gotten worse during that time period. We need to solve this. Worst case scenario is status quo. We need to solve it. So we came up with a bill. Doesn't have everything in it I wanted. Doesn't have everything in it my Democratic colleagues wanted. But it definitely makes a difference. What's in this bill? Well, here's what the bill includes. Let me just walk through some of the high points of it. It includes more border wall construction under the 18-foot, 30-foot bollard style definition in locations actually that were set by President Trump. In those locations, actually build a wall. It has 50,000 detention beds, so it ends our catch and release issue. So especially single adults as they're coming across, the vast majority end up being held while they're being screened there rather than just released in the country as they are now. We doubled the deportation flights. We added money for DNA testing. We added money for additional state, local, and tribal law enforcement that we're partnering with along the border to be able to help with the enforcement process there. We have a tremendous increase in the number of ICE agents, the number of Border Patrol agents, more asylum officers, more immigration judges. We added detection equipment at our ports of entry to interdict fentanyl, one of the biggest threats to our nation right now. And we increased the sanction authority for the United States government to be able to sanction those ruthless cartels and members of cartels and those that facilitate them to be able to go after the fentanyl issue in the United States. It has a pretty radical change in asylum law in it. It strengthens significantly the standard of evidence for declaring asylum. Today, people that are crossing the border can literally cross and say, I have fear in my country. When they say those magic words, they're released into the country, the vast majority of them, for up to 10 years while they await their screening or hearing. That would end under this bill. We increased significantly the standard for evidence. We had 3 new eligibility bars at the beginning of it, so we get to a faster screening process, and for those that are not eligible, a faster deportation. It is somewhat a Where's Waldo game on a day-to-day basis on our southern border. As we have thousands of people coming through us, some of those individuals do qualify for asylum, but most of them do not. So our goal was to be able to filter through quickly, identify those who qualify, and deport all of them that do not. We have a faster structure to process aliens when they cross the border, in detention or non-detained, either one, so they don't end up in the 10-year backlog awaiting their decision. Both for those who qualify for asylum, don't wait 10 years, and those that everyone knows from the beginning they don't qualify for asylum, they're turned around and deported immediately. This ends the abuse of parole that's happening on our southern border today. Today, the administration will identify 1,500 people, will give them parole authority.
Why does this sound like it's actually... Let me go back a little bit. Let me listen to right here.
Identify those who qualify and deport all of them that do not. We have a faster structure to process aliens when they cross the border.
Why is any left-leaning person upset about this? Like, actually, though, isn't this what we wanted? Isn't this what we've been asking for? A faster process, a more streamlined process? Like, unless you're just in support of illegal immigration, which you shouldn't be. You should want those people to be able to become legal citizens, right? Like, unless you're in favor of illegal immigration, so that those people get arrested and deported and like barred for X amount of years from coming back in, you should probably be good with this, right? Right?
In detention or non-detained, either one, so they don't end up in the 10-year backlog awaiting their decision. Both for those who qualify for asylum, don't wait 10 years, and those that everyone knows from the beginning they don't qualify for asylum, they're turned around and deported immediately. This ends the abuse of parole that's happening on our southern border today. Today, the administration will identify 1,500 people, will give them parole authority at one of our ports of entry and a work permit the first day they come. They don't have to qualify for asylum. They don't even have to apply for asylum. It is literally an open invitation from anyone anywhere in the world to get a work permit if you'll just tell us in advance you're coming. It's not lawful. It's just happening. This bill would end that. This bill also has a short-term, 3-year authority to quickly stop the flow of people coming into our country right now. I had a lot of my colleagues on the Republican side that said, whatever we pass will never be implemented by the Biden administration. We've got to do something, though, right now to be able to get things to change, because everyone knows this is occurring not because of some migration trends around the world, but because right there, President Biden announced, I'm not going to build any more wall, and he dropped all the authorities that had been used, not just by President Trump, but by President Trump and Obama, dropped them, and we saw the skyrocket. So everyone said, whatever we pass, President Biden will never use. So whatever you can put in there to be able to actually make sure this occurs, please do. So we did. We included a border emergency authority that said, if we ever exceed 5,000 people, which, by the way, is every day but 7 in the last 4 months. If we ever exceed 5,000 people and we're in chaos level, the border shuts down completely. It's not optional, it's mandatory. And when I say shut down, it's pretty simple. What happens in the first 5,000? Let me make it clear. For the first 5,000 people that are coming across, they're detained, they're screened, and then deported. If you get above 5,000, we're in such a chaotic moment, we don't have time, so we just detain and deport them. There's no screening at all because we've run out of time. We don't have the manpower to do it. That's the shift that occurs. It's not that the first 5,000 are released. That's ridiculous. The first 5,000 we detain, we screen, and then we deport. The second, if we get above 5,000, we just detain and deport. And when the borders close down, it's closed down for weeks, where we're not even screening for weeks until we get caught up. It was something that we could implement right now and to be able to make a difference. We also changed the funding process on this. There are items that the president really wanted on some of the funding. So we said, we're fine on that funding as long as you don't get that funding until you actually get more detention beds, get more deportation flights, hire more ICE officers, hire more Border Patrol, and actually implement the new policy. When you do that, then you get all the money that you're actually looking for in the other areas. We wanted to make sure that actually this was going to be implemented. We included that in the bill today. That's what we have on the floor today, and I'm afraid what I've heard some people say it's not enough. So we'll make a decision soon. Let me just say this. I've listened to a lot of my colleagues in the last several days, as well I should, and I've listened for months. Some people legitimately want more time to read the bill. I'd say it's 370 pages, it's incredibly technical, and I've had several colleagues said, I've started reading it and it makes my head hurt to read it, because immigration law is very complicated. So they're going through it, and they've said, hey, I'm interested in supporting this, I just need more time. Some of those folks are gonna vote no today because they legitimately just need more time. I completely understand that. There are some folks that are voting no today because they have policy differences on the bill. We have asylum officers that are empowered to make decisions. They want immigration judges to make it. Okay, well, that's a policy difference on it. Some folks don't like that we have visas that are in this. That increases legal immigration, not illegal, legal immigration in the country. There's some folks that don't want any immigration of any type. Well, fine, we can have that policy difference. I don't mind legal immigration. I just don't want illegal immigration. Some of them, they have policy differences. Some of them have been very clear with me. They have political differences with the bill. They say it's the wrong time to solve the problem, or let the presidential election solve this problem. In fact, I had a popular commentator 4 weeks ago that I talked to that told me flat out, before they knew any of the contents of the bill, any of the content, nothing was out at that point, that told me flat out, if you try to move a bill that solves the border crisis during this presidential year, I will do whatever I can to destroy you. Because I do not want you to solve this during the presidential election. By the way, they have been faithful to their promise and have done everything they can to destroy me in the past several weeks. There are other folks that read the Facebook post.
Why didn't he name and shame?
And saw different facts that they thought might be true. But I personally told them over and over again, they're false. And it's been hard to overcome. For some reason, we still believe everything we read on the internet. And it's been hard to be able to break through. A few weeks ago, I posted one of my favorite quotes from Charles Haddon Spurgeon, who's a preacher from England in the 1850s, where he once said, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth gets its boots on. And it couldn't have proved to be more true in this. I've seen posts like, there's amnesty in this bill. So that people have adamantly opposed that there's amnesty in the bill. I would say some of my Democratic colleagues wanted to have some amnesty in this bill, but there wasn't. And there's not anything on amnesty in this bill. I've heard folks say it weakens our asylum laws when it actually does the opposite. It far strengthens our asylum laws so we can get to actual asylees faster and those that are gaming the system.
Asylees? Is that what you would say?
I've heard folks say it takes away the Remain in Mexico policy so it can never come back. It does nothing of that.
Like, this is common where they make an immigration bill and add on also all military bases in Utah get steak dinner every night. Then when it's denied, they go, oh, come on, you don't like immigration? I don't usually say because they don't want a W for Republicans, but maybe it's that too. Hold on. We know why this bill is being rejected. It has been explicitly stated. They're rejecting the bill because Donald Trump said he wants it as a campaign issue. The Republicans were on board with this until Donald Trump told them no. No one's disputing that. Now, they're not being explicit about it, I'll tell you that. But we do know 100% that this was a purely bipartisan deal where the Democrats were getting just a little bit of what they wanted on immigration, and Republicans were getting a yes. It's the Republicans that voted no. The Democrats desperately want there to be legislation or like funding for Ukraine and shit. So they were willing to compromise. And the Republicans were like, wait a second. Papa Trump told me no, so I can't. Sorry, guys. I know I said that I would play ball, but Papa Trump told me no, so I can't. Yeah, it's literally like, it's not every single thing that the Republicans wanted and have been saying that they've been wanted. Area must be connected. What area is not connected? That's connected. Part's not connected. What part isn't connected? There we go. Holy shit. There we go. Hey, be chill towards Tron. All right. If the bills had a 2-page limit, I would know what my senator or representative is voting on it. And if they vote against X or Y bill, I would be able to read it and know if I agree. Well, that's the issue is these things are going to be too complex for like the average person to actually fully understand, right? And that's the unfortunate truth of it. It's a lot of legal speak. It's a lot of legal speak. And so you're going to have to deal with that legal speak, and you can't dumb down a bill so that everybody can understand it while maintaining, you know, ostensibly like you want to have a bill that's not going to have a bunch of loopholes and shit like that, right? So Them should just make this a commercial. Well, they already are, because it's so blatantly obvious that the Republicans are doing this, right? So blatantly obvious. It's insane, but
not at all. Nothing of that. I've had folks say it gives away work permits the very first day, which will incentivize more people to come, when it actually does exactly the opposite. It actually removes the 1,500 work permits that are passed out every day and says we're not going to do that. And my favorite one has been it lets 5,000 aliens in every single day from here on out forever. And I've just said that's completely absurd. Why would anyone sign a bill, approve a bill, or present a bill that locks us into this chaos? That's what we have now. The 5,000 piece was very simple. If we get to 5,000 a day, we can't process that many people anymore. It's a critical emergency. We break glass and say, we're not even going to try to do hearings anymore. Everybody's got to turn around, everything's shut down, so we can make sure that we can actually legally process people. We are detaining, screening, and deporting until we get to a break glass moment, and then we're not even screening anymore. We're just detaining and deporting because we can't manage the numbers. But that's not what's been told. What's been told has been false day after day. And then, as I've mentioned, I've had a few folks that have said, if I can't get everything, I want nothing. I don't find most Americans are that way, just in their day-to-day life. We have high goals and aspirations as Americans, and quite frankly, I don't blame Americans for being really angry and frustrated where we are at the border. Really angry and frustrated. But what I hear from most Oklahomans is, do something. Don't just sit there. Do something. Make progress. But don't allow this to keep going. Stop it where you can. So that's what we work to do. Now, to be clear, President Biden has authorities he could have used that he's chosen not to. Authorities that President Trump used, authorities that President Obama used. That President Biden has chosen not to use. There's a lot of them. And for whatever reason, he has turned his head away from the chaos that America is focused on, and he needs to do what he can to solve this problem. But we also need to make changes in law. Our asylum law is weak. Everyone knows it. In fact, when President Trump was president, he even made the statements about how weak our laws are on asylum. When President Trump was president, he said, we do a very good job considering the laws are so bad. They're not archaic, they're incompetent. It's not that they're old, they're just bad. Well, guess what this bill does? Fixes that. Because the laws have a gap, and we should actually fix those things. What the president cannot do is change the asylum laws. He cannot change the faster deportations for people crossing. He cannot add an emergency authority like this. He cannot conduct faster hearings with limited appeals so we can get to deporting people that are not legal here and addressing those that are. Can't do that without a change in law. So we need to change the law. Madam President, I'm going to vote yes to be able to move on to this bill. So we need a change in law. I understand we have differences, but we've got to sit down together, figure out how we're going to solve problems, because the American people sent us here to do that. This is the pen that I was handed at that desk when I was sworn in to the United States Senate. And I signed a book that was at that desk with this pen because I was becoming a United States Senator. Because the people at home sent me here to get stuff done and to solve problems. There's no reason for me to have this pen if we're just going to do press conferences. I can do press conferences from anywhere, but we can only make law
I'll look at the
from
police
this
thing in
room.
a second.
And to do that, you need one of these pens. There's 100 of them in this room, and 60 of us have to agree to solve a problem. And I'm determined to sit down with anyone who wants to solve the problem, regardless of what side of the aisle that they're on, to figure out how we solve these things. Because Americans are ticked off that this is not resolved, and they expect us to get things done. So why don't we do that? Madam President, I have two staff members named Sarah Seitz and Jacob Stubbs who've worked their tail off for 4 months. They gave up Thanksgiving, they gave up Christmas, they gave up New Year's to work on this. They're remarkable leaders. It's not just about the time they gave up and the wisdom that they have as leaders. Their focus on that was to solve a problem that at the end of this day may still be a problem unsolved. And tomorrow, we'll probably have 6,500 people illegally cross our border, just like is what's happening right now today. 6,500 people. Americans want that stopped. So let's actually sit down and figure out how we're going to stop it together. That I yield the floor.
And then they voted it down by a margin of 1 vote. Do I have that correct? Okay, you said this is the police thing.
And right now, are they on their way out of state? Tonight, what we're learning about the migrants accused of assaulting members of the NYPD as outrage grows about how this could have happened.
We're not protected. How are we going to protect the people in the neighborhoods? And tonight, police reveal how they were able to track down the person they say started it all. Good evening, I'm Christine Johnson.
I'm Maurice Dubois. We now know 5 of the suspects accused of attacking officers in Times Square have been released, and 4 of them may have left the state. A 6th man is being held on $15,000 bail, and police are still looking for 6 others involved.
Lisa Rosner is live now with the latest in Times Square tonight. Lisa.
Christina Maurice, the Manhattan DA's office is investigating allegations that those suspects boarded a bus to California. Now, they aren't due in court until February 20th, but a high-ranking police source suspects they are headed for the Mexican border. This comes as calls to deport them grow louder. It's a tussle sending shockwaves through the country. A police officer and lieutenant repeatedly kicked and punched while trying to make an arrest in Times Square. The NYPD says of the dozen migrants involved in this attack Saturday, 6 are still wanted. 6 were arrested, but only 1 is in jail. The rest were released.
These individuals who are
Why were they released?
have no regard for the law. If we're not protected, how are we going to protect the people in the neighborhoods?
Thursday, scores of Midtown South police officers were in the courtroom when a judge ordered 24-year-old Yohenry Brito held on $15,000 cash bail for second-degree assault and obstructing governmental administration. The DA says he's the man in the yellow accused of starting the fight, and even though he ditched the top, police say they identified him by the tattoo on his neck. In court, the back of his shirt said, "Work hard, be kind."
Today, the justice system worked, but we have to ask the question, why did these 4 individuals be released on their own recognizance?
The men he's referring to are the migrants released Wednesday. 1 had 2 prior shoplifting arrests. The DA has said they were released because evidence was still being gathered to specify each person's role. Thursday, Governor Hochul reiterated calls to deport them.
Get them all and send them back. We don't touch our police officers. We don't touch anybody.
A high-ranking police source tells CBS 2 the men provided fake names to a church group that arranged.
Damn, the Democrats are even sounding like Republicans on this shit, aren't they?
Bus tickets as part of a migrant resettlement program. The NYPD doesn't have plans to immediately track the men down as they aren't due.
Well, we're sounding like Republicans in 2012 on immigration. Meanwhile, Republicans nowadays are like, we should have like AI facial recognition turrets on the southern border that recognize how swarthy someone looks before it opens fire. Like, that's where the Republican Party is right now. And the Democrats have moved to, okay, so there's a problem at the border. Maybe we can, maybe we can find a way to shut down the border. Okay. Like, bail question. 14 people. Jesus. My understanding is that the people that left this jurisdiction were arrested once they got to Arizona.
Back in court until February 20th for a hearing. If they don't show, a bench warrant will be issued for their arrest.
It's a crime where you have to weigh what is the likelihood of their return to court, which I think is getting thinner by the minute. Generally, people who are going to return to court don't travel under false names towards the Mexican border after they've assaulted a police officer.
And then they were arrested, from my understanding. Okay, we'll watch the Jesse Waters thing. Even though I think that I've found my least favorite Fox News anchor of all time. And it's not because I think that he's more hateful necessarily, because I don't think I've seen anything from him that's just seemed like he hates brown people. It's more that he's so unbelievably captured, obviously captured by Trumpism to the point where he's like making a fool of himself. Or he's like an actual simp. He's like actually a simp for Trump in the grossest fucking way you could imagine. Let's make sure we have enough land area so that we can put all our stuff there, get ourselves some nice fishing spots. My issue is we have to rely on experts and deep state operatives to understand any bill instead of relying on our common sense. No one can read 20,000 pages. That's why they hire staffers, right? Like I guess maybe I am just like too brain poisoned by my liberalness to understand what you're talking about, but like, yeah, we have a highly bureaucratic state. We're going to need staffers to read through these things because the bills are like kind of important. I think we need a new warehouse. Okay, let's listen to what this idiot has to say. Republicans have Tucker Carlson. Democrats have to trust Rachel Maddow because nobody has time to read 20,000 pages. This just isn't a problem, I don't think. I just don't think that it's this like huge problem that people are like claiming it is, that the bills are too long, the bills are too, whatever. I don't think that that's actually the issue. The issue is people don't agree. People don't agree with the bill itself, or they're being told to not agree with it. The American people don't have staffers, right? This wasn't a problem until recently, I don't think. One second. Why is it saying that I have 0 cotton still? What is being? Well, I guess we're gonna have to wait for winter to pass. Let's just fast forward as fast as we can through winter and pray. Okay. Is our cotton being? Yeah, it's being moved over here. Cool. Come on. Build it. We just need 2 more, baby boy. Okay.
Reading for pleasure expands your mind. Reading for work gets you a promotion. But Americans are pinched for time. Washington knows this. And every year, Congress spits out legislation gazillions of pages long, then manufactures a deadline to pass it, knowing Americans won't read it. The bill's too long, and the legislation isn't written in plain English. It's written to be indecipherable to everyone except the lobbyists who write it. And the media, whose job it is to read it and report it, they don't even bother anymore. They spin whatever the Democrats claims in it and attack Republicans who vote against it. And we've been hearing for weeks about how this bipartisan border bill is going to save America. How does the media know if they never saw the bill? Well, it was to condition you, whet the appetite for passage, and set up Republicans as fall guys if it fails. Well, the bill finally came out last night. Primetime read the whole 370 pages, and it doesn't stop a single migrant from breaking into the country. That's not me saying it. The Democrat senator who wrote the bill, Chris Murphy, declares, quote, "The border never closes." So if the border never closes, what's the 20?
That's literally like a major part of the bill, right? Isn't that like a major part of the bill? Like if there's too many crossings in one day, then they can shut down the border and say nobody can cross until we are done with whatever giant wave of immigration we're having? Is that not the case? Am I losing my mind? Have we not been hearing that this entire time? One second. It said that there was a way for me to see how much I'd actually be able to. That's not what I want. Very long, but every point in detail. Okay.
$1 billion for processing illegals, handouts, and loopholes. The Border Patrol would start working on an honor system. This is Washington's idea of thorough vetting. Are you ready? Agents will now start asking border crossers tough questions before letting them in. Question 1, are you a criminal? No. Second question, you say you're fleeing Honduras. Is there another part of Honduras that's safer? No, I'm scared. Third question, you passed through Mexico to get here. Why can't you stay in Mexico? I can't. I'm scared. Welcome to America. If you pass that test.
People, okay, we're just going to listen to it. Does he actually think that's how it works? I just don't understand how people hear this and they don't immediately think, this guy sounds like he's being a dishonest little cunt. This guy sounds like a dishonest little cunt. Something must be, there must be like a little extra something to this. That's not that. It had like, people can't be this stupid to hear that kind of explanation and just buy it, right? I don't know why I have any faith left in humanity after, the past 8, 9, 10 years of politics. I don't know why I have a single shred of faith in humanity. But guys, people can't actually buy that explanation, can they? Like, you would have to be kind of actually beyond to believe that, right? And I'm not an asshole for thinking that, right?
You're in. You have asylum. Who gives that test? Well, Biden's hiring thousands of asylum officers to ask migrants the 3 questions. This is a government jobs program that lets in more migrants. And if the migrants answer the 3 questions correctly, Biden hands them a work permit so companies can hire them instead of Americans because they're cheaper. And Nadler can get all the crops picked he wants. Are we going to detain any migrants at the border so we can deport the ones who are too stupid to say I'm scared 3 times? Well, this border bill buys just 15,000 new beds to detain migrants. That's about 2 days worth of illegals we're going to detain. And once the beds fill up in 2 days, they're going to let them go because you can't deport if you can't detain. Biden's border bill claims anyone they can't detain, which is pretty much everyone, they're going to strap ankle monitors to them. We're going to strap millions of ankle monitors to migrant legs every year? What did Paul Pelosi?
We don't have millions of people coming in every year. We have millions of encounters. I don't think that anyone wants to actually understand this. I refuse to believe. I refuse to believe that people hear this stuff and they're like, you know what? That actually sounds like pretty accurate to what is happening. You know, I think that the Democrats do just want to, you know, let as many people as possible enter the country with no repercussions if they lied to get in. And if they get in and then they like do some crimes, then we should give them a break because they're brown and they didn't know any better. Like, is the world just full of extremely incurious people with 0 principles? You know, I don't even need to ask. I think by the letter of the law, he's not lying. No, he is lying because our current system isn't even that lenient. Me. Our current system isn't even that lenient. And our current system is dummy lenient. I don't know, man. We'll go over the very in detail or very detailed one here in a minute.
Monitor company in. And how are 2 million migrants whizzing through airport security with ankle monitors? Beep, 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 beep. Well, you just missed your flight because a village from Guatemala held up the line. Biden's also handing out 250,000 new family reunification visas. That means if you broke into this country and you missed your aunt, uncle, wife, or cousin, they can come in too. They're codifying chain migration. And remember all those Afghan refugees that Biden flew here after the Taliban took over? The ones heavily vetted at the violent airport? This bill fast-tracks their amnesty. That's 80,000 Afghans ready to vote in a few years. And if you're Haitian, Cuban, Venezuelan, or Nicaraguan, you can cut to the front of the line. Biden just paroles you straight into the country. These new neighbors are great for Democrats. Even though illegals can't vote yet, the census counts them for redistricting. That means states with higher head counts, illegal or not, get more House seats and more electoral votes. In 2020, California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and Massachusetts all gained seats. 24 seats that were lost all came from states that voted for Trump in 2016. Now it gets better. Under this bill, every migrant gets a lawyer. $400 million go to lawyers for illegals. Lawyers just happen to be the Democrat Party's biggest donor class. Leave it to lawyers to write a pay raise into a border bill. Got to hand it to them. Now, surely.
I'm sorry. Since when do Republicans not want to increase funding for border control? Am I living in a like backwards world where everyone's opinions are just completely backwards? Democrats want border control, but Republicans don't. Democrats are trying to fund border patrol and, you know, detention facilities, and the Republicans are saying, "Oh, so you want border security, do you?" What the
The bipartisan border bill defunds the nonprofits who've been financing the caravans? Wrong. $1.5 billion go to the nonprofits so they can keep buying the migrants tents, food, and maps. There's also $250 million in migrant reparations. What are migrant reparations? Biden's going to take our tax dollars and pay the countries that the migrants claim they're too scared to live in. So if Biden decides
to do what, Jesse? I don't even know the answer to this because I haven't read the bill myself. I haven't seen other people explain the bill. I guess we'll get to that here in a minute. Jesse, holy shit. For what purpose might the government think that, hey, we should give money to these nations that people are fleeing because maybe they want to deter or like take away people's reasons for wanting to leave? Maybe they want to, I don't know, take some action on it that is preemptive rather than reactive. It is like literally is the only acceptable response to mow them down if they try to cross? Because it really feels like at this point, hey guys, it really feels like the joke that I make about the auto turrets is real. It actually feels like these actually do just want to mow them down if they try to cross the border. Can't take any preemptive steps to try and stop people from crossing. The reactive steps that we're taking aren't good enough. You know, restricts the kinds of things that people can claim asylum for. Streamline the process so that like people who actually are in need of asylum get asylum faster. People who don't get asylum or don't need asylum can't access our system in that way. Like it feels like that is exactly what they've been wanting. If you're actually someone who's seeking asylum, that's totally fine. They've always said, but not all of these people are asylum seekers. So we should vet these people better so that they are no longer coming in here for economic reasons. Seems like that's directly addressed in the bill, and we're still mad about it. Is there a conservative in chat that can, like, please steelman the idea that this is not a good border bill? Well, make the biggest grain farm you've ever seen, guys. It's just going to wrap around. It's just going to wrap around, dude. They don't like migrants counting under the House of Representatives, and they think it's a big issue. Why don't they make a law that says they don't? Because border states would never want that, including places like Texas. You know, Texas, a border state that has a ton of illegal immigrants in it and has more people in the House of Representatives as a result of that. And they would lose seats in the House if they ever stopped counting the asylum seekers. You know, those people. Yeah. Personally, I would like stricter requirements for who is eligible. Wow. That is literally in the bill. Okay. Area must be connected. Where is it not connected? Does anybody see a square here that is... Oh, wait. Hold on. I do. Haha. There we go.
Decides to deport a migrant, which he won't and which he hasn't ever. He's setting aside
never
money
deported
to
anyone,
reintegrate the migrants back into their home countries. How does Ecuador go about reintegrating a man born and raised in Ecuador? They don't. They just steal our money and claim the reintegration is going muy bueno and keep sending more migrants to keep the migrant reparations flowing. I asked the primetime producers, is there anything in this border security bill that dismantles the cartels? There's only $25 million.
What do you want, bro? How are you going to dismantle the cartels? Pray tell. I want to know. I would love to know. What is it that you could do to dismantle the cartels. You realize that the cartels are in Mexico and Guatemala and Nicaragua and Colombia and all these other places. That's where the cartels are. You realize that? And that we can't just like dismantle them as we see fit from where we're at? I'm trying to make sense of it, guys. Someone please make it make sense.
Democrats are giving the DEA just $25 million to fight the cartels. Lawyers are getting $400 million. Tackling the cartels, $25 million. This is how you know they aren't serious. So we keep hearing about this 5,000 migrants a day and the border automatically closes. Not true. If the Border Patrol averages 5,000 migrant encounters for a week straight, we're not talking about the gotaways, they'll close the border for a little while, but they don't want you to know about the loopholes. They actually never close the border. Migrants will still be processed into the country at ports of entry, meaning the cartels just funnel them to the ports of entry. What about the rest of the border? That's shut down, right? No. Migrants can still show up anywhere along the border, and as long as they claim it's an emergency, they have to be let in. So even when the border is shut...
That is international law. So we don't really have that much of a say in it, right? If that's international law, we don't really get to say much about that, right? Okay. Is there anything that we have in excess? Okay. There is something that we have in excess. That is this. There we go. What else can I get rid of? I can sell some fish. Okay. That works.
Shut down, migrants can still come in. This means a shutdown border lets in at least 2 million illegals a year. That's more illegals a year than Bush, Obama, and Trump ever averaged. It's like twice as much. Biden's just locking in record numbers. Oh, and if this does get passed, there's a grace period. 3 months until any of these tough border policies kick in. Obviously, the minute it kicks in, someone's going to sue the administration to stop it. And the people who wrote this bill actually wrote what court will hear the motion. It's the most liberal court in the country. The D.C. District Court will hear all challenges to the border bill. The ACLU files a motion, the D.C. District Court agrees, slaps an injunction on it, and we get the status quo. They wrote the status quo into the bill. And the border bill's only $20 billion out of the $120 billion package. $100 billion is for defending everyone else's borders, Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine. And Schumer says if you don't...
Do these, like, dumb just, like, not like America? Like, are we just, like, in full meme mode now? Where if our allies need help, then we're just like, LOL, nah. We're not doing that one there, folks. That's not something that we're interested in helping with here personally. I don't think that that's something that we really need to do because while you might be our friend, we are not going to piss on your teeth to put a fire out. Right? If your teeth were on fire, I wouldn't piss on it. Like, is that America's attitude towards our own allies? Do we have anyone that we actually do like enough to where we would go to like great lengths to help them? Or is that just all lib cuck shit that like no one should ever put up with? Most white working class people don't break the law. All illegal aliens do by definition. Do you ever speed? Do you like, we're talking about like something that is a criminal misdemeanor. If you want to talk about violent crime, we can do that. If you are from an immigrant family, you are significantly less likely to commit any kind of violent crime than a, native born white person. You don't want to go down the race You don't want to go down the race route here on this here stream here, partner, because we've had those debates before, and every single time the other person was blown the fuck out because they don't know anything about statistics, like the crime statistics that we're talking about. They pretend that they do, but they have no clue. They don't know because they don't actually care about the crime statistics. What they care about is finding some reason to deport all brown people. That's what their entire goal is. Native born white working class Americans are, I'm pretty sure it's an order of magnitude more likely to commit a violent crime than even an illegal immigrant. Not to speak to a legal immigrant. Yes, and so so do like most Americans have committed a crime on that same level in terms of like the legality of it. A civil offense, not a criminal offense. Sorry, when I said earlier a civil or a misdemeanor criminal offense, I'm sorry, I'm totally misspoke. What I meant to say was it is a misdemeanor civil offense. It's not even a criminal offense. Hey, hold on, I need to smart remove. Pretty sure I built 3 of them, right? There was one there, and maybe I didn't build 3. Maybe I only built 2. Damn.
Biden's shipping your sons to war.
We're at a turning point in America. This bill is crucial, and history will look back on it and say, did America fail itself? Why is it crucial? Well, if we don't aid Ukraine, Putin will walk all over Ukraine. We will lose the war, and we could be fighting in Eastern Europe in a NATO ally in a few years. Americans won't like that.
Well, Americans don't want to go to war, but we won't be blackmailed. There's no way this bill is going to pass. But that's not the point. This is Washington's way of giving itself credit for not solving a problem it created. If you fall for this, you're part of the problem. And when the bill blows up, nothing changes, except the media can say MAGA Republicans murdered border security. Even 60 Minutes is in on it. After ignoring the border for 3 years, CBS wants to scare and shame Senate Republicans into voting for a fake fix. Watch.
So what's the fastest growing group among them? Chinese migrants. Yes, you heard that right, Chinese. We saw large groups, including many from the middle class, come through a 4-foot gap at the end of a border fence 60 miles east of San Diego. The illegal entryway is a new route for those hoping to live in America.
This border bill doesn't stop a single Chinese national from rolling their carry-ons into the country. They just answer, I'm scared, 3 times, or claim it's an emergency, they're in. And when your biggest enemy sends brigades of people across your border, what do you call that?
It makes sense that they're taking people out and sending them up in caravans to the United States. And it's not just South America. It's from Africa, from Asia, from all over the world. Asia. Yeah. I mean, from all over the world. From China, there are 28,000 people in the last few months. 28,000. That's what's he doing? Building an army? And they were mostly men, almost all men, from the age of 18 to 25. So what's that all about?
I mean, it's almost like China has something on Biden. He could shut down the border tomorrow. He doesn't need Congress to give him additional power. All presidents have had the power since 1952. Title 8, Section 12 of the U.S. Code, hate to read it, but I will. Whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may, by proclamation, and for such periods as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any restrictions he may deem to be appropriate. So the president, who has the power to close the border, says he needs $120 billion so we can close the border? But the architect of the bill says the border never closes? Do you get it now? Do you really think Biden is going to be rounding up migrants in Chicago into ICE buses during the Democrat National Convention this summer? If you believe that, then you fell for it.
You fell for it. Okay, we'll look at the other thing in just 1 second. Or Oh my God, I cannot see the screen. Does that make it brighter or darker? Seemingly no difference. No difference. Okay, let's see here. Damn, 21 viewers on Kick, 2 on YouTube. How's everyone doing, viewers? Actually, this is probably a decent time to talk about something that I needed to talk about earlier. But I was waiting and I forgot that I was supposed to do it. But so we are in a spot where I am not really losing interest in streaming, but losing the ability to justify doing it nearly as often as I want to. I've never really created a culture on my stream. Like, I've joked and, you know, prodded people to like donate or to, you know, do any of that shit, sub or stuff like that. But I am now at a point where if I'm going to do this like for any amount of my free time that I have, right? I need to find a way to incentivize you guys or whatever it is that I need to do to like sub, all right? Your boy is really poor. I have to pay for medication, I have to pay for rent, I have to pay for school. And I could either spend my time chilling on stream, or I could take more hours at work, or I could find another job and work 2 or 3 jobs while, you know, right? So I'm not like saying, hey, I need to find a way to like grift you guys for money. But like if I don't know how to ask you guys for donos, right, in a way that would both benefit you guys, like you guys feel like you're getting something out of it, and also benefit me in so far as I like want to continue streaming and, you know, spending more than a normal amount of time on this, right? Do I have a dono link that, I mean, I should. 1 second. If I go to my Kick, if I go to kick.com, but like but here's the thing. It's not just a matter of like getting a donation right now. Like, what could I offer, or like what sorts of things would I have to do on stream? Oh, maybe I don't have one. Oops. 1 second. Let me go ahead and add that shit. Stream elements. Okay. Also, I see someone saying some dumbass shit that I want China to destroy us. I don't understand why you want China to destroy us. We need more people. If you pay your editor more, I would donate money. Yeah, true. 1 second. Let me get that dono link available. Hello? Where is it? There it is. Copy. Sondsol Kick. Edit panels. There we go. Donate. Add image. That's the first image that that showed up when I said add image. So let's see here. Did that work? Refresh. Oh yeah, look at that. Donate. Does Patreon take less of a cut or something similar? Patreon would take more of a cut than Kick does. Kick takes like a 5% cut, which is crazy. But yeah, like for like the regulars, or, you know, people who have been around for a while, like I'm not gonna like beg you guys to donate for nothing, right? What the question is like, what do you guys want from a streamer to you know, to do? What do you want a streamer to do to spur you to sub, right? Bad Bunny, right? Yeah, see, that's the thing that I would desperately try to avoid with all of my heart, soul, and being. Did your parents not teach you a good thing to take care of your fellow countrymen? mass immigration hurts low wages. It hurts like 0.01% of workers. And even then, those people still have a net benefit from immigration. Not illegal immigration. Illegal immigration is bad. Why is illegal immigration bad? Because they're not paying into the tax system. In a perfect world, if we wanted to do this whole like good immigration thing, what we would do is we would give all these people asylum, bring them into the tax base, and then everyone would be probably a lot better off for it, you know? They speak Spanish well until they take asylum in Mexico because Mexico sucks and America's based. You should understand this as an American. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's see. It's 10:12. I got about 15 minutes before I have to end stream. Anything else that... Jesus Christ. That's not real, right? Did someone just donate $173? Jesus Christ. Well, thank you. Holy... That's really, really generous. Me. That's going to pay for my my ADD medicine that I need to buy tomorrow. Holy shit, that's actually super awesome. That's like $2 less than what I need to get my medicine. That's awesome. Like genuinely, thank you. Like this is what I want to do is I want to be able to stream more and work less because I want to be able to like work on school primarily, right? And stream actually is really, really helpful for school. I know that sounds stupid, but it's unbelievably true. Unbelievably true. When I am able to like stream and do like political stuff for school, I can just study the stuff that I need to study for school on stream and people are still entertained, right? So that's kind of what I'm like looking to do. And I want to do it in a way where I can pay the editor because the editor like does work. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for the huge dono. That's really, really awesome of you. Send that big donor to my AI stuff on the Discord. See this Trump post. The immunity ruling shit's so gay. Like Trump is so on his face wrong on that. Hold on. I want to keep on looking at the immigration stuff. If we are able to stream in the next couple of days, then we'll look at the immunity stuff. But in the last couple of minutes of stream, then I'm gonna keep look at this. Hello?
Border
Dude.
legislation they once demanded, with
Okay.
the Senate putting the final nail in the coffin today. Also failed last night in what they tried to do instead, which is impeach the Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
Hold on. Have you ever watched the movie The Graduate with a young Dustin Hoffman and Miss Robinson? I feel like I just recently watched that. The Graduate. Wait. Yes. Is that the one with the... No. This is not a movie I've seen. I don't remember the one I was thinking of. Where he gets seduced by a MILF? No, I haven't seen that. When you say, were you not of that generation, you realize this movie was released in the 1960s? How old do you think I am? I was born in 95, my guy. Hey, thank you for the sub. See, like, if we got, like, 3 to... somewhere between, like, 3 and 7 subs per day, I could justify streaming, like, most days. All right, let's watch this really quick, and then I'll probably have to go, and then we will reconvene, maybe tomorrow. There's, like, zero guarantee that I'll be able to stream tomorrow, but hopefully I will. Why are there 70 homeless people? Okay, let's listen to this.
On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 216. The resolution is not adopted.
Republicans failed because House Speaker Johnson did not count on Democrat Al Green, who is recovering from surgery, turning up and voting, which prompted fellow Republican Congressman Thomas Massey of Kentucky to tweet today, getting rid of Speaker McCarthy has officially turned into an unmitigated disaster. And that, in turn, drew this response from Speaker Johnson.
Well, look, it was a mess what happened here, but we're cleaning it up, and Massey's one of my dear friends and colleagues, and I don't think that this is a reflection on the leader, it's a reflection on the body itself and the place where we've come in this country.
That's the leader who calls what happened a mess, presided over the mess, but does not think that presiding over said mess is a reflection of his leadership, which is for his members to decide, certainly not us. As for what he calls the place where we've come in this country, it's worth remembering just what that place looks like, even to some Republicans, especially to the conservative Republican who negotiated the tough border legislation his Senate colleagues killed today. Here's Senator James Lankford shortly before the vote. This is the place where we've come in the country.
This is the pen that I was handed at that desk when I was sworn in to the United States Senate. And I signed a book that was at that desk with this pen because I was becoming a United States Senator, because the people at home sent me here to get stuff done and to solve problems. There's no reason for me to have this pen if we're just going to do press conferences. I can do press conferences from anywhere, but we can only make law from this room.
Except, of course, when they can't, which also put aid for Ukraine and Israel on ice because House Republicans demanded it be tied to a border deal before doing a 180 when the former president told them to. They're not the only ones following this the Trump line on this. Here's Senator Lankford again. This is the place where we've come in this country.
I had a popular commentator 4 weeks ago that I talked to that told me flat out, before they knew any of the contents of the bill, nothing was out at that point, that told me flat out, if you try to move a bill that solves the border crisis during this presidential year, I will do whatever I can to destroy you. Because I do not want you to solve this during the presidential election. By the way, they have been faithful to their promise and have done everything they can to destroy me.
Well, that's where we are in the country today. A commentator telling a senator they will try and destroy him for negotiating a deal that delivered on many conservative priorities, only to be shivved, essentially, by people who claim to be conservatives at the behest of their leader, who never really was a conservative, Donald Trump. But for every senator betrayed, there are all the border officers left high and dry, all the asylum seekers stuck in a process that takes years to navigate, all the families losing loved ones to fentanyl, and all the cities struggling to care for migrants bussed in by many Republican governors, mostly, who said they were doing it because of the need for tougher border security, which is exactly what this deal, now dead, would have delivered, at least far more than exists currently. Courtesy of Republican Senator Lankford, who negotiated it, and a handful of other Republicans who did not do the former president's bidding and supported it, including Alaska Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski, who said this about the process: I've gone through the multiple stages of grief. Today, I'm just pissed off. Joining us now is Texas Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw. Thanks so much for being with us, Congressman. You heard the Senator Murkowski saying she's pissed off. Are you, to use her words, pissed off?
Look, I'm going to be pissed off every day that we have almost 300,000 illegal people crossing our border, and most of them let loose in the United States. Look, I'm of the opinion that we need a solution on this. I'm very frustrated by this process. I think the Senate process was destined to fail from the beginning. You put one senator in the room who's in the minority with really no leverage over two other senators who are in the majority, who really have no incentive.
They had leverage. The Democrats wanted funding for Ukraine. Of course they had leverage. They had all the leverage in the world. They could have had everything, and they chose to have nothing. And that's their fault.
To make a strong deal because they're not worried about the re-election. I've said from the beginning, what we should have done as Republicans is follow the playbook we did with the debt ceiling, where we have an established set of negotiation baselines, right? And for us, that's HR 2, right? That's our border bill. We start there. We say that's where we want to go. We go straight to the White House because Biden's the one who's actually worried about his re-election. And this is an historic moment where we can actually make a deal. And so what we should be doing is sending that supplemental right back with HR 2 attached, so we finally enter the conversation. You know, I'm not part of the Senate. I'm part of the House. And so that's what I would do.
Part of the problem.
To keep this going, because in the end, that's what I care about. It's border security.
It is, though. I mean, it's odd to hear, and you pointed this out, that to hear Republicans in the House saying we don't now need a border bill, who were supporting H.R. 2, which was a border bill that passed in the House by Republicans, but couldn't pass in the Senate because of Democrats. But the biggest difference now is the former president has said he doesn't want it. I mean, that seems to be the one thing that is actually.
I don't know. I guess you need to talk to. I'm not one of those Republicans, so I do know that we need H.R. 2. We need changes to our asylum laws. There's too many loopholes. We need to clarify the parole authority, which is being abused massively by this administration. We need to codify into law remain in Mexico. We do need H.R. 2, right? There's immigration laws have not been updated in far too long, and they've been exploited by the cartels, by people just looking for a job, but exploited nonetheless and cutting in front of the line of millions and millions of legal immigrants. So we absolutely need I'm not one of those Republicans saying we don't need changes in law. We have an historic opportunity to get those changes in law now.
But isn't that
I'm never going to stop saying that.
That's what conservatives in the Senate, I mean, Langford has said, which is H.R. 2 couldn't pass in the Senate. And sometimes in lawmaking, and you know this better than I do, you need to make compromises in order to get stuff passed. And this was the most conservative bill, and Democrats, I mean, Biden agreed to it, probably because of the pickle he's in. It seems like this was according to Langford, this was as good as conservatives could possibly get to actually get something done and move the ball down.
Well, we have the majority in the House, so we would disagree. We would think that we could get more, and we should try to do that.
You have a 2-seat majority in the House. That's nothing. You have nothing. You have nothing. Why does he think he's speaking from such a position of power here when you have nothing? It's a 2-vote majority in the House, and you are the minority in the Senate. The Democrats can't get every single thing that they want, and the Republicans can't get every single thing that they want.
Right, but
again, like I said, this process was flawed from the start on part of Republicans. It was flawed from the start because you put one person in there, you make it completely secret. They didn't do a communications plan with everybody surrounding them. They didn't tell anybody what was in it. Immigration law is extremely complicated, so when it comes out, just everybody interprets it every which way. You've got to start with H.R. 2, and then you go from there. Of course, there's a negotiation, but of course, H.R. 2 by itself is dead in the Senate. I acknowledge that. But we're adding the supplemental to it. We're talking about Ukraine aid, which is extremely unpopular with Republicans. But you couple these things, and America wins. America wins in both ways.
But it does seem like
that's still my goal.
I mean, I understand your focus is on what happens in the House, but as Langford said, a commentator said to him, I'm going to go after you if you try to do anything that solves any border problem in an election year. I mean, the elephant in the room is the former president who doesn't want, it seems, anything. I mean, he said it has to be a perfect deal. No deal that can actually get through a democracy, a Senate, can be a perfect deal. Isn't it clear that the former president does not want any deal, and Republicans are not going to make any deal if the former president doesn't want it?
Look, here's what I say to people who think that they need to let illegal immigrants in just to hurt Biden in the polls. My message to Trump is, I think you can beat Biden. I will help you beat Biden. That's my message. And look, Biden is unpopular in so many ways. People do not trust him on border security or the economy or various other issues. We need to actually solve the border crisis. It is also true that there are people on both sides, and mostly in the activist groups, and there have been forever, that never want this problem solved. All viewers need to know this, right? On the left and the right, they make money by perpetuating this problem.
But you're talking about Donald Trump.
Actually,
I mean, I understand you're saying it's activist groups, but that is Donald Trump makes money.
I know you want me to say that.
Well, no, I don't want you. But I mean, you're a very honest guy and a very that people on both sides of the aisle applaud you for that. He has put his thumb on the scale on this, and I understand the activist groups who have agendas and make money off this, but he's making money off this, and he's running an election. I mean, this is perhaps a winning issue for him, and he does not want improvement, despite all the talk of fentanyl, despite all the talk of national security issues. He doesn't want a deal.
I mean, look, you'd have to ask him. You'd have to pull a quote from him that I can respond to. I don't.
Right,
I don't,
but lots of people in the House have
border.
said that. There's a lot of Republicans in the House who supported H.R. 2 who are now saying, well, we don't need any border deal at all. And the only reason they're saying that is because
they're wrong. Look,
right,
and I disagree with them. I disagree with them in conversations today on the floor. I'm saying, and I said, look, if we didn't need new border laws, why would we pass H.R. 2? You know, Trump needed new border laws when he was president. He needed laws changed. What he ended up doing, which was great, he made a deal with Mexico. He did the Remain in Mexico policy. He created the asylum cooperation agreements with Northern Triangle countries. That's what he ended up having to do. So look, I mean, I know you want me to like kind of get into a fight with Trump. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say what's
I'm not trying to get you into
and
fight.
What's true is we need a border deal.
Right.
All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end stream. I have some IRL stuff to take care of. And when I say IRL stuff, I mean I have to eat food and I have to say hello to my girlfriend. All right. I'm going to send you guys over to JSTLK or J Stalk, who I guess he's talking to Cherry, Lav, and Wolfgang. All right. But hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to stream again. We'll see if we can't rehab the conversation about the stuff that I was talking about earlier about like what incentives I can give you guys to actually like donate and shit. Because I don't want to just do it and like beg when I'm, poor, right? I'd like to actually like provide something to you guys or see what sorts of content you actually want. All right. Is your girlfriend hot? Jesus Christ. Okay, guys, go on. All right. Rating into J Stock.